Welcome back, gamers. It's Bungles After Dark. It's been a while. We've had a few months off since we've last done a Bungles, but we've had a very busy couple months here. We've just wrapped up Adepticon, getting back into the swing of things. Had to take a week off just to recover for it, but lots of exciting things to talk about. So instead of listening to me drone on about my experiences, because quite frankly, I played in a few events, but ran more, and listening to how to host a successful tournament is ungodly boring. I'm going to bring in some people who actually played in some tournaments and had some success in them. So coming in first is my partner in crime, as always, Gaming Jason.
Oh, wasu, wasu, wasapoo.
Yes, Wasapoo. Now, does that mean we have to change your title from Gaming Jason to, and congratulations, by the way, to being the 2023 North American Grand Master for Bushido? Does that mean we need to change your title?
No, technically, I think in Discord, I named myself the founder and leader of the
Cult
Legion.
of Wasapoo?
Yeah, no, it's not a cult. It's the Legion of the True Arrow or something like that. I'm looking at Discord right now.
Legion of the Long Shaft.
Whoa.
Well, you know what?
Basically, though, I've declared myself the Pope of the Church of Wasapoo, so we're just going to go with that until I find what the actual name is, or until I speak with others of the
same
faith,
ilk,
of the same faith, to decide what we're going to name
the
the
true
organization.
faith. Got it. All right.
The
Well,
true faith of Wasapoo.
To get a better opinion, to get another opinion on it, if we should have a name change here, let's bring in the 2022 Grandmaster.
I'm going to
Grandmaster
burn
Cody.
down that church.
You're going to burn down that church?
I mean, I did at least.
There are many people who want to burn down that church.
In all honesty, I did do my duties. Cody was not able to perform his duties, so I became the Grandmaster.
Yeah, that is true. You were the runner-up in 2022, or Miss Congeniality.
Yeah, I just decided to take a backseat, let someone else win this year, you know.
Okay.
Well, so we'll talk more about the Bushido tournament a little later, because we want to just kind of go over our overall Adepticon experience for those people who haven't been there. But I will say, prior to us talking about it, we spent a good month browbeating you and not to play the faction that you wanted to play.
I
know.
I mean, if he played Temple, it would just been like, I mean, it was going to be, Cody would have defaulted to Temple because it didn't play his other faction. So
right. Well,
Temple's my go-to. Kata's the crutch. It has nothing to do with the power curve of Temple, but Kata.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Kata's the
very forgiving,
the greatest skill in the game.
Right next to Wasapoo.
Yeah, Wasapoo is just its own other thing. Right. Okay, part of it was my dice.
I'm going to buy all the stock of Wasapoos and just burn them all.
Fuse them into a giant amalgamation of a figure.
You're going to have to buy all of the doubles of the nunchuck dudes too, because those guys can be reoriented to be Wasapoo also.
I've got a good start. I got 3 packages of them sitting on my paint desk. So
3 down, a lot more to go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so let's kind of jump into it. And let's talk Adepticon 2023. So
it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It started on Wednesday night. And we cruised all the way to Thursday. I will tell you, all the way to Tuesday.
The way to Thursday. Okay, well,
felt like I cruised all the way to the Thursday of the following week. No, until Sunday. I think I took that Monday off.
The following week,
I did not. I lost track of time during that weekend. I wasn't sure what days things were.
I agree. On Friday, I thought it was Saturday, and then,
or were you wishing it was Saturday?
I don't even remember it. One of the days might have even been Thursday after everything Thursday, and I'm wandering the vendor hall, just dropping money left and right on stupid stuff, and I'm like, this is like day 1 of the con. I should probably wait until Sunday.
Yeah, pace yourself.
Which I did.
Don't be like me after the Bushido tournament, where I was just like, I'm done, and we're getting lit up.
Wow.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
Hey, I was told I was a great host.
You poor heavy.
Yeah, there's that too.
So a few details about Adepticon for those who are not familiar with it, even though we've been kind of talking about it, and it's relatively well known.
And
So
other people have
Adepticon,
posted too,
yeah,
other
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, there's
Actually, I
been a
saw
lot.
something from Nimantic where they talk with the founder of Adepticon. That was actually
That was a
cool. That
very
was really
mini
cool to watch
manic
it.
or something like that.
Yeah,
That was a great video. And there was even a shout out to our
local game
local
store.
game store owner because he was the first vendor for Adepticon.
Mhm.
So just some details about it. It's so Adepticon is probably the largest miniatures only although it is starting to diversify because they did have a few role-playing games that were going on, but not many.
They've
It was
always
like,
had that.
yeah, there's
The
somebody
last
who
couple
runs a
years, they've
few.
always had that.
Call of
but that's
Cthulhu
easy.
mainly.
Yeah, that's
Somebody's
easy
running
to
Call
do
of
though.
Cthulhu.
And they've done some board game stuff. There's always been like a Ticket to Ride tournament and
Yeah.
a Catan tournament usually.
They just haven't sold their souls yet and been like, all right,
Right.
guys, we're gonna do something big with magic.
They kind of build themselves
We
as
don't
the
have room for that.
I know they
they
don't.
have no
I know
room
they
for
don't.
anything. They kind of build themselves as the world's largest, or at least the largest miniature focused gaming
Convention in North
convention.
America.
And it's an old one because they've been doing it since 2000 ish.
Well, according to the little like documentary that they did, they started it within another tournament in 2003, which I remember going in 2004 or 2005 when I did spring bake with one of our buddies when I was still in like middle school, and like it wasn't officially Adepticon, but I went to a couple of those like tournaments just to see. That's how I got into 40K.
Well, it was always Adepticon. It was just because that's what they even called it when they did their event. But it was them kind of doing it on their own at that point in time. But this year, and again, I don't know what attendance was prior to COVID, but they had 6,500, and I was saying it was going to be about 7,000.
So close.
Felt more than
Felt more.
6,500. The trick with Adepticon, and in the interview they even talk about this a little bit, which I think is kind of spectacular. One, they try to keep the cost down. I'll tell that to people who actually are buying all the events and whatnot. But I will say the registration, if you don't go for some of the other things, the registration compared to, let's say, like a Gen Con, very affordable.
Yeah, it's not that bad
for
at
4
all.
days.
Just for the 4 days, $50. Yeah, for the general
40,
pass if
$50,
you're not getting the GwtG or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, even all in, like I got a swag bag and all my events, plus I registered for an additional event. I don't even remember what it was. It was less than 150.
Yeah.
And for 4 days and all my events. So.
And some events are more expensive than others. Hosting, I'm gonna have to tweak my. I don't know if I was able to tweak my Bushido event or not, which was weird because they still gave me the Adepticon people gave me the same price support medals for both of my events, even though I listed one as casual and one as
the Masters,
the Grand Masters.
But the Masters won that one. It threw me off guard when I registered. That was like, I mean,
4 medals. Yeah, it was really pricey.
It was expensive.
It was expensive.
I think, was it 20?
It was $30,
25, 30.
It was $30 for that, and then for the casual one, it was like a $5 buy-in.
5 or 10, something like that. It was like
convention.
Peanuts.
That's a normal like.
And I'll tell you the prices.
Buy-in.
I gave away all the prizes that I wasn't supposed to in the casual event, but I should have saved some for the next day, which I did.
It's the casual event that honestly, that's even better for them to get new people in.
I do agree.
It was so. I enjoyed that one, and I'll talk about that as briefly as I can once we get more towards the Bushido specific events. But as for Adepticon in general, so again, fairly affordable compared to some other large conventions and whatnot. But the one thing that I think does make it very unique is if you're not going to, let's say you just want to pop in for a day and just walk the vendor hall and see what everybody's playing, you don't have to pay anything.
Right.
Yeah.
You just show up.
Yeah. I've spent multiple years not actually playing in any events, just going out, wandering the vendor hall, doing demos, and I'd go, 1 or 2 days. It's like an hour drive for me, and I had just as much fun doing that as playing in all the events. So
yeah, and from a vendor standpoint, it's spectacular because 10-1 says those people are coming in to walk the vendor hall, and since they didn't drop a boatload of cash to register, they're going to drop a boatload of cash in your booth because they're going to see something and they're going to want to buy something, and now they're going to have it. So that means, from my standpoint, The 6,500 was registered attendance.
Oh yeah, I could
That
easily have
means it
seen like
easily could have
people.
been
I would
7,000
probably
plus.
honestly, with all the plus ones and everything else like that, for those that have a plus one, just like spouse or kids or whatever like that,
Saw a lot
I
of
could
strollers.
easily that number realistically, I would put it more closer to like 8,000
Well, and
for
the other
me
trick is hard too is
because you
because
don't
they've
know
gotten
who's
so
there,
large, they've had
and
to
they don't.
spread to 2 buildings now.
That's the other thing. They got the other
Because
location.
historicals, and Lord of the Rings, which they call historical,
I was
are now.
wondering why I didn't see them because I was like going up and looking for them because they always have beautiful display boards. And
It's so big that they had to offsite them to another location.
Yeah,
that
they put them
sucks.
to another, and I wanted to go see them. I wanted to see the historicals because the guys who do Clash of Spears
Oh,
and
they're
Clash
there.
of Katanas they were running some things, and they were there, and I love that rule set. I just got to get off my lazy ass and paint more figures for it. So that gives you kind of idea. It was the Schaumburg Convention Center was packed. Every hotel within 3 miles of the convention center, I think, was sold out.
And
Probably.
Airbnb.
And
Yep,
Airbnb. I didn't even
Airbnbs.
think about Airbnbs.
Yeah, because I was looking when Josh and I, because we were going to get the hotel room just so we kind of had a base of operations for you to store crap, and it just would have been easy. Like, not that it was a difficult time staying at your place, but
That's not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just like, why not? And I mean, the hotel sold out in 5 minutes, and then I was like, let's look at Airbnb, and it was either 4 times the cost of the hotel, or you were driving just as far as your house. So I was like, we're just staying.
I know some of the Canadians said that they were staying at an Airbnb when I was chatting with them. They were like, "Oh yeah, we got an Airbnb." I was like, "Oh shit, I thought you guys got a hotel or something."
Yeah.
No,
I mean, depending on how many of them all stayed in the same place,
you could split it really nice.
Yeah. But just for Josh and I, it was not worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Now we could stay at my place for free.
Right.
Please.
Or my place.
And we had the run of the house because my wife was out of town. So because she's like, oh, I'm gonna get the hell out of Dodge with these nerds.
Exactly. I don't blame her. I felt the same way.
And it wasn't like we were staying up late gaming every night, because every night we came home we were freaking exhausted.
I'd play on my phone and like I'd just turn it off after setting the alarm, and Josh was like, "Yeah, you were instantly snoring." I was like, "My bad."
Yeah. It was a tiring time. So to give you an idea, Wednesday night they usually open up people are still wandering the rooms and whatnot, going to the convention hall, and they're letting people walk through as early as like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. They officially open the registration lines at 5.
Getting your pickup and registration stuff doesn't happen until like 8 though.
Yeah, I thought it started from 5 or 7. Oh no, it started at
7:30 because we got there, met up with one of the guys, and then we went to go get shopping. We went to go get food at the Japanese supermarket, and then came back, and like the line didn't move at all. So it's like, all right, screw it. We didn't lose out on that much. And he was going to wait like another hour and a half. Before they were going to like.
Then there were people, as it got later in the evening, they were supposed to close it at 10, then they didn't close it at 10, and so people were able to, if we just were sitting around, and we after we went out to eat, we got back, and I think we just sat where eventually they would be playing the Infinity events. And me and Dr. Dice and Josh Holder up from the Bushido Badgers and Art, we just sat and just bullshit for 2-3 hours. It was great.
Me and Cody got our badges.
Yeah, you guys got your badges. We just
the line didn't, once it started moving, I want to say we got in line at 8:40, and I think we were picking our stuff up by 9:30.
Something like that.
I wasn't gonna stand. I'm an old ass man. I ain't standing in line for an hour. Which I think I did anyway the next day.
Yeah, it ended up not being that bad. So
their queuing system actually worked out pretty good.
on Wednesday night, it was not spectacular the next day.
Yeah.
I could vouch for that. That was, the line moved, but the way in which people were trying to queue up for their things, they were shouting down the line. The line's going all the way back to the hotel. And for people who aren't familiar with the Adepticon layout, so the convention centers would, on this one side, then there's it's kind of like L-shaped. The main convention center is here, but then the ballroom, which is where it hooks up to the hotel,
see your hands
starts there.
You're using your hands.
Starts there. And so this is the ballroom to the hotel, and there's a long corridor that goes down from that. and that takes you to the hotel proper, which actually the hotel proper starts on the second floor.
Yeah.
Smart move. Keeps that area kind of clean, because then they have all the painting stuff down there.
Well, yeah, Fort Wapple was like, I feel
Mhm.
like Fort Wapple had 4 times as many people in it this year as previous years.
Yeah, and that Tony Marvallo, who does You Got Me Monologuing, he had his paint table set up too for they're painting at that thing 24 hours a day. And
Hey,
they're
props
live
to those
streaming the whole
guys.
time. Well, you get different people who are popping in to paint for a couple hours and whatnot. Hell, I could have even popped in to paint. And
Yeah.
and like Tony said, everybody says, "Oh, I'm worried about screwing something up." He goes, "Just go and paint, chat, do your thing, because then there's other painters who'll come in and then they'll take what you've done
And
and fix it." That's a nice way of putting it. Fix it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say enhance it, but in reality, for me, it would be fixing it. So just lots of cool things. But Wednesday night was a nice night to meet people. Me and Gaming Jason, we had put out an invitation for a lot of the Bushido players that were coming in from out of town, because we had people from Canada come in for it, and a big group from Canada, one person from Australia, and then all the locals, the guys coming down from Wisconsin, from Maryland. I think we
big
had
group
somebody
from
from
Maryland.
California.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
big
think we
group.
had somebody from California. I mean,
Yeah,
we had from
Runic Elk, right?
yeah. So we had lots of people. So it was great. And so I'm like, hey, if you're there and want to go, we'll take you to this Japanese food court, which sounds crazy, but if you're in Chicago, if you ever get the chance, go to it. It's this grocery store chain called Mitsuya. It's a Japanese grocery store. They got like 6 of them in the United States, but it's also kind of a mall, and they've got all these different businesses. The ramen and the different food options you have in that food cart are they're listed
Very
as
good.
like top 5, top 10 places to eat Japanese food in the Chicago area. Highly recommend it.
Oh yeah, the ramen place is like
the ramen
very
place is
good. Like I was very surprised like how late it was and how not short the line was, or how short the line was. And I was like,
You try to
damn,
go to
I
that
kind of
place.
wanted to get ramen there, but any other time that we ever go there, like on a weekend or like just during the weekday during like 9 to 5 business hours, like good luck. They're yelling over the PA system, "Come get your food,"
It's
because it's that popular.
at lunchtime, that place is absolute insanity. Because it's not too far from a lot of corporate business
Headquarters.
offices and whatnot. So it gets quite the crowd. I was a little upset because the yakitori stand had closed down, because I love getting my yakitori there.
Oh yeah.
But it was good. I still had the ramen. The ramen was great. I'm not a big ramen eater, but it was very, very good. Then we went and shopped. We went to the grocery store and shopped for sake.
Yep.
Which,
Yeah, I did not. I hit up McDonald's on the way in, and that was a terrible mistake, but
that's all right. I wish I should have taken pictures of it. Now, in retrospect, I should have taken pictures of a lot of things, and so this
Same.
presentation is going to
We were
lack.
bad media. We were bad social media influencers. Not
Well, I
gonna
let
lie.
Art do all of that. Art Wagner, Bushido Badgers, and kind of a co-host for the Bushido tournament. He is my right hand man. I let him do all the social media stuff. He was taking pictures. He was posting stuff. He was absolutely great doing that. I was Thursday less so, but just wanting to try to make sure it flowed well, so I didn't think about it. But Friday, for hosting the Grand Masters, I was so stressed out. It's not even funny. So stressed. I'll talk about that more once we get down to that. So anyway, Wednesday night was great. Great night just to kind of lay back, try to get your stuff, meet people, talk. It's you getting that pre-convention buzz. The one thing I'll say before we move on to the things that we saw, other than what events do we play and what things do we buy, the one thing I will say, if you are going to Adepticon, you have 3 different ways in which you can register. You're just going to register, and you're not going to get any special swag unless you order it. Like I ordered dice because I like the patterns and the colors of the dice this year. So I got
Same.
2 sets of dice. But that was it. But you could get the there's 2 other versions, and then there's one where you get the small version of the swag
Oh,
bag.
the premiere and the
The
VIG.
premiere, and then there's
Yeah.
the VIG. And the VIG, I think they're still doing lottery on, or it's just click and try to get
No,
as quick
now
as
it's just
possible.
get in there.
This year is clay. I like the lottery because it didn't crash the system as bad.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was bad. I just wanted a normal ticket.
Yeah, because I actually, when registration opened, had the VIG in my bag, tried to click next, completely shut me out. did that like 6 more times, and then finally I was like, screw it, we're just gonna go with the premium because I want to make sure I get the swag bag, even though I really don't need it. But and so I did that, and I would check back in from time to time. I'm like, I wonder if I can upgrade. I really wish I would have this year, because this is the best VIG bag ever.
This year I thought that they were helping someone move out of their apartment when I saw people like walking with their VIG stuff.
Go ahead, Cody. You could explain it. This VIG bag. So if you got, I mean, the swag bag itself was pretty damn good, but if you got the VIG, holy shit!
So usually, a normal swag bag, you get like a God tier set, whoop-de-doo. You get Malifaux, like one of their limited edition models.
Get a Victoria Victoria miniatures. You get a couple things of that.
You get some
historical
World of Tanks tank.
Yeah, Elric's Hobbies bases. You might get like a Pro Acryl sample paint, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this year was even better. We got a board game, a puzzle, and a Marvel
Crisis Protocol
tank.
Well, you got 2 Crisis Protocol things, I thought.
No.
That was VIG.
That was the VIG. Sorry, I'm giving that one.
Yeah. No, so just the regular swag bag, which
freaking tank. The tank is valued at what?
$80,
the Hydra tank.
Ballpark 70. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was $80.
10. So I mean, when it's all said and done, like swag retail wise, you're probably sitting around $200 worth of stuff, maybe a little bit more, and that's just the regular. And I want to say that's like maybe a $50-$60 upgrade. Like you're getting double. Well, this year we got double, if not more, than what we paid for.
Yeah.
VIG.
And you got the I think in the regular swag you got the Daimyo Boba Fett.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
The Daimyo Boba Fett
from Star Wars Legion. Yeah, and there's like a Conquest figure and some other random.
So, yeah, again,
plus all the other stuff that you're
getting
over years past.
Donkulous amount of stuff.
Yeah. So then the VIG in years past was kind of like basically what this year's regular swag bag was, plus a box or 2.
Plus a box.
This year,
oh my god!
This year, it was plus a box. So there was a Kill Team starter set. Yep. There was 2 or 3 Marvel Crisis Protocol things. There was
you got the Sentinels and you got the tank. I think it was.
Did you get a Sentinel with it? Really?
Yeah, I saw some people where you got the Sentinel. I think I was looking at some people are walking and walk by. They got the Hydra tank like Cody had showed us in his bag, but then I remember seeing like I think they gave him like the dual pack of like Sentinels.
Wow, because I know there were other people who just got figures like
maybe they were
rando figures.
I know in the past like. Both the swag and the VIG, it's just kind of a random, here's a pallet of crap, and people just pack it and whatnot, so you don't really know. But this year was more consistent of just, I mean,
all the stuff.
I think the VIG upgrades, like on top of your normal registration, it's like plus 100, plus 150, something like that.
It's 150 for the VIG, I think.
The VIGs this year easily had $500-$600 in swag.
Oh yeah, easily. To give you an idea, so again, I mentioned that we had a lot of gamers for the Bushido tournament that we were hosting. Not that they were coming specifically for that, but one of them was from Australia. We were talking with him a lot, and he's like, "Yeah, I brought 2 extra suitcases," and he ended up because he took the Geek Nation tour. To kind of do the whole Adepticon experience. So I think it automatically gave him a VIG.
Yeah.
He's like,
I had to unbox everything. I can't fit the sprues.
I can't fit. He goes, I had so much stuff that I couldn't fit. I didn't have any other room left in my suitcases to take other stuff that I might buy.
And this includes him unboxing everything. So he only was sitting on sprues apparently in his bags.
It might have been. I think he finally did it. I know he also ditched he's like the puzzle. No, there were certain things that's like, I'm not going to bother just trucking this at
puzzle. I mean, it's a cool puzzle, but it's like
if you got to sacrifice something,
if I'm going to sacrifice something that I'm going to buy that I'm going to take back to Australia, or a puzzle,
right?
The puzzle's going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, both. Regular swag bag and VIG, there's always stuff that you can get away with. Like most of the time I end up selling half of it, anyways, and I don't even get it just to sell it. It's just like, oh, I get free stuff. It's exciting, and then it sits on a shelf for 3 years, and then I finally sell it. So
Yeah. I had the I did some I just avoided kind of doing some things. Yeah, I used to get the swag bag, and then I'm looking at it and I'm going, I think I still have stuff in my closet from swag bags that like 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Probably.
And I can't, I'm of that mind as I don't need it. I should just throw it out. I should sell it. I should just get it to the local game store and he could throw it in the crap and make a couple bucks on it. I don't care. I just want it gone. But it's I just can't part with it. So this year I'm just like, you know what? No, if I have the option, I'm just not going to get anything. It's just so much easier.
I have the same problem because there's some stuff where it's like, this is actually kind of a cool set, like all the tanks, Flames of War and all that. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm never going to play the game, but I wouldn't mind painting this stuff. So it's sitting on the shelf for 5 years. I got 100 different rule books for the game just because they've been in the swag bag and whatnot. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah, it's at some point you just got to say fuck it and not do it. And that was the year for me.
Yeah.
I'm just too cheap, so I'm just kind of like, I mean, like it's some cool, but a lot of it I know we're not really gonna play it, so that's why I'm just like, to me, it was never really worth it, and I don't have the acronym to like sort it all off and then like, all right, offload it, or unless if I get lucky with a vendor, but then I got to find the right vendor that I actually want to buy stuff with. That would either be willing to haggle with it or give me cash for it.
For local Chicago people, that will be called the Games Plus auction.
That too,
pretty much.
Put it for like $1. And if it doesn't sell, screw it.
Yeah.
Then you throw it out. Say, no, I'm never coming back for it. Forget
pretty
it.
much.
So like I was saying, the VIG bags, the VIG package, because you can't even call it a bag anymore.
No, it was a bag, a box, and a cart, basically.
The box
was a big ass box full of stuff, and then the bag was ready. They give you little kicker bags that you could put over. It was filled to where I thought it was going to explode on someone's back.
Yeah.
I was looking at the people with the boxes, and it reminded me of like when people walk out of their offices, or moving out of college, or they just got fired from their job and they had a nicely packed office.
I mean, I'm coming in on Wednesday night to go and meet people, and I see all these people walk in the parking lot with boxes. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I walk in the building, and a buddy of mine from college that I know, and he's there, and he got the VIG bag, and he's holding this box. He's got this bag, and so we're talking like, what the hell? He goes, this is insane. And so I actually walked him out to his car because he had so much crap. It was nuts, just absolutely crazy. So for those who got either package, you made out like bandits this year.
Yeah.
Like absolute bandits, especially if you played Marvel Crisis Protocol. Holy shit, did you make out like a bandit? Or if you're playing Legion, just getting even if you don't play Legion, just getting the Daimyo Boba Fett.
Oh, I'm super excited for that.
Could they have put a better figure in there other than maybe a Darth Vader or something? No, that figure.
They could have put the Mandalorian in there.
I don't think they have him out yet. But then again, I don't think they also have the
only if it came with Grogu.
I think it's going to, but who knows?
That would be cool.
I'm pretty sure it does, but yeah.
It should at some point.
So swag bag, good. But
yes,
you're going to have to, get into a knife fight with someone online, or your computer's going to have to be really good so you can register for it. So 2024, if you're considering going, be there when registration opens and make sure that you have a secure connection and the Adepticon connection to their server is good. And you yourself could walk away with $500 worth of.
Well, we don't know if they're going to pull that off again next year. I have a very sneaking suspicion that last year they were kind of like 50-50 because it was the first year back after COVID. And then this year they're like, marketing money, fuck it. All the stuff
but there wasn't that many people that were marketing. I mean, just GW had some stuff.
Instead
and
of them blowing their marketing budget on other stuff, they just said, screw it, put it in the swag.
That's not Adepticon doing it. That's the vendors saying, here's some stuff.
Yeah, because even during COVID, when they canceled, I won the VIG lottery and they shipped it. I had the option to ship it to my house, and it was still a really good swag bag that year too.
No,
They've always had good
they're
swag.
good people, and they have fostered great relationships with the gaming community.
Absolutely.
It started from what I remember. It started when Privateer Press started putting in 2-player starter sets.
Yes.
And then they've just gotten more crazy and
Well,
more
it's been
crazy and
arms
more
race.
crazy.
It was battle boxes, just the
Yes.
regular
Oh, yeah,
battle
that's right,
boxes.
the
Oh, the
battle
battle
boxes.
box. Yeah.
And then when they started doing the plastic, like the Hordes one with Circle versus Legion or whatever,
Yeah.
that was when they started throwing the 2 players in.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah,
So it's just been an arms race.
It's
at this
well, and then
point.
everybody else is like, "Hey, this is actually freaking genius
Mhm.
from a marketing standpoint." And then they put in, FFG put in Ruin Wars one year.
Oh yeah.
I could have
Which
swore
that
one year
game
there had
flopped.
Star Wars. What was it? You
They
guys
put
used
in
to play
Legion.
it. No, not Legion, but the TIE Fighter game.
X-Wing.
Oh,
Yeah,
X-Wing.
I would
I don't think they
remember.
put X-Wing in.
It wouldn't be like a full thing. It would
The
usually be
VIG,
like a.
you
They would have like some
you got a
figures.
starter set.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So, I don't splurge for the VIG because I'm just not a VIG gamer. I guess
I didn't get it that year. I just saw it.
But again, it's a great deal. It's just another one of these things that makes Adepticon. I mean, it is what it is.
It's the greatest gaming convention.
It is. I mean, I enjoy it. It's not as insane as a Gen Con with 70,000 people, but at the same time, it's getting to the point where I'm worried. And they even mentioned it in the interview that they've really outgrown the place. Rumor is that they're going to expand the convention center. I hope to God they do.
That's the only way that they can do it, short of them going to Rosemont. That's like literally that's the last stop is them going to Rosemont, which would for those of us being local would suck.
Yeah, for those of you who are not from the Chicagoland area, Rosemont is a little suburb that's kind of nestled between Chicago and the airport, O'Hare Airport, and it should have been part of Chicago, but Chicago didn't want to do it, so then they kind of turned themselves into a convention / hotel.
They've got the big
convention whatever. Yeah, they have a huge convention center out there.
They got 2 of them, and they're connected to each other into the Hyatts.
Yeah, and they're really close to the airport, so it's a hop, skip, and a jump. But the problem is your hotels are overpriced. Parking is insanely expensive per day. You're talking $12 per day.
Unless if you do the tacker move, which is you go to the CTA line and then you pay like the $6 and then you're good for the day. Which I
but then
I did that for other stuff.
If I'm running an event, I can't tote it. That's the other problem. If I'm running an event, how do I get my shit in there to set up?
It's that the logistical on that side would not be easy.
And then you're looking at the restaurant. Now that
restaurants suck.
When we were there, when they used to have Adepticon at one of the hotels in Rosemont, they didn't have very good restaurants around there.
No,
around the convention center, they do have restaurants now, but they're all high end. They are all very expensive.
And there's not a lot in the
there's
mall
not a whole lot of
pricey
variety.
too.
Yeah, the mall, they have a little mall there. It's not like Woodfield, but they got a little mall. It's pricey designer stuff. So it's just not, from a local person standpoint, it's horrible. If you're coming from other places around the country, not so bad.
Yeah, and it gives you an excuse if you want to try to get to Chicago if you can deal with being on the blue line.
yeah, taking mass transit in. So we're hoping they could avoid that. I think they're also wishing to avoid that because there's just a whole lot of logistical issues, not just for them, but for vendors who want to set up in there and whatnot. It just becomes a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So hopefully
deal with it.
Hopefully, Rosemont wants to gobble it up right away. Plus, Lord only knows what it's butting up against because they have shows and little things going on in that convention center year round. To be honest, back when you guys were young, that's where we would go for Games Day.
I was going to say Games Day.
Games Day is where at Rosemont. I know that.
And they totally, if they could have gone to the Schaumburg Convention Center instead of Rosemont for that, I think they would have done that hop, skip, and a jump. That would have been so much better because they only took up basically one hall. Or even not even a full hall. They took for Games Day. They took about half a hall.
It was like the bigger hall though, but yeah.
Yeah, but they were barely scratching the surface of that for Games Day.
Yeah, because it took forever to walk from like
one parking.
Well, just even like from one event to the next, like it was okay, you're walking, there's a bunch of empty space, and you're like, okay. Cool.
I mean, it's great because you're not bumping into people, but at the same time, it's all right, so that's kind of logistics of the con and where things are going with the con. So if you are on the bench, if you're in the United States and you want to go, or even if you're in the Midwest and haven't gone yet, highly suggest going to Adepticon if you get the chance. It is quite the experience. Tons of fun, lots of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an idea, let me just run through this where we're going to segue.
Ooh.
So smooth. Segue into the next part of what did we do when we were there. So for my days that I was there, just some of the events that I went, I think I got into, if I wasn't hosting an event, I was able to play in just about every event that I wanted to. And I got into one demo and I ditched an event, but it was a freebie event. It was more of a demo event anyway. So Thursday morning, I played in the Goblin King games. This is where we go split screen. Ba-bam, that's not it.
That's a 40K figure.
That's totally not it. This is me.
Oh my God, Gaming Greg sold out to us gamers.
Oh
He's gone back to
God.
40K.
I'm buying all of those.
Why is that not showing?
That's fine.
Now? Why? Oh, I hate how they've done this now. This sucks.
How they changed the setup?
Yeah. Now let's try it. Share my screen. But I was. Oh, I can't share my screen.
Well, technical difficulties.
Video, share screen. Share the entire screen. There we go. Now I figured out what the hell to do. Moonstone. So I played in the Moonstone tournament. That was actually being run by my good friend, Dr. Dice. First time they have run a Moonstone event at Adepticon, and it was great. I played 2 rounds. There was a slight technical difficulty that made me miss a couple rounds, but that was all right because I was getting my ass thoroughly handed to me. But I do love the game. If you haven't played in it, I would strongly check it out.
And we do have the one video on it too, but Moonstone is a good amount of fun. I wanted to get my stuff painted, and the only reason why I didn't participate in anything on Thursday was I had to watch a child.
Yeah, so Moonstone, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a card-based mechanic. I won't say it's similar to Malifaux because the way the mechanic works is completely different than Malifaux's.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I don't even know how Malifaux works, but I remember a little bit with it, but it's totally not the same.
No,
Yeah.
it's more like poker almost.
It's
It is
kind
poker.
of. Well, at least the arcane. So you get
The
2
arcane
decks. You
is
get your
nice.
arcane deck and you get your melee deck. The arcane deck has 3 suits and 3, we'll call them jokers, but they're called catastrophe cards. In the suits, there's essentially 3 colors: pink, green, and blue. And in pink, green, and blue, there are 3 number 1 cards, 2 number 2 cards, and 1 number 3 card. And whenever you play an arcane ability, an arcane could be anything from casting a spell to shooting a gun or shooting a bow, you'll always use the arcane deck.
Mhm.
And then you'll deal yourself a certain number of arcane cards, and you're going to deal your opponent, or if it's more of a neutral thing, whoever's to your right, you'll give them 6 cards. And then what you'll do is you're going to, each of your abilities that you do with an arcane will have a value that you're trying to look at. So let's say I'm shooting a crossbow. I'm looking for the suit of green, and whatever X will be the value. So it could be any one number 1 to 3, as long as it's in green, and then that'll kick off whatever the effect is, and typically doing damage or healing damage or giving energy back to a figure. So then I'll look at my cards, and then I'll put a card down and I'll say green 3. Now my opponent has 6 cards, and they're looking at the green 3 in their hand going, I wonder if he's bluffing. So he'll call me. Then I flip the card over, and it's pink 1. I was lying. He gets to play a card from those 6 that he has in my hand, which if one of them's a catastrophe, something bad happens, or he just plays a different color and nothing happens at all.
Right.
Now, if he doesn't have it in his hand and he still thinks I'm bluffing, he could still call my bluff. Then I reveal green 3, and then the effect kicks off on the target that I declared. And then I could do it again as the active player, but I could only use the cards that are remaining in my hand.
Mhm.
And I could keep doing it. If he keeps calling my bluff, I could keep doing it until I either decide not to do it anymore or I don't have any more cards to play. So it's a really cool bluff mechanic. And last but not least, the player who's got the 6, so the passive player, we'll call them, could just decide, you know what? No, I believe you. And then we just sweep away the cards. They never see, if they don't call my bluff and just let it go, they never get to see what card I'm playing. So they don't know if I'm lying or not. And last but not least, as the active player, if I got crap in my hand and I don't want to risk something bad happening, I could just say, nah, not doing it. Just toss everything in. I just lose my action or the power that I was taking to do that action. So it's a really, if you're a really good poker face and whatnot, and bluffing, it's really great. Sometimes there's always going to be times where they're just going to call you anyway. Like, I'm 1 point away from dying. Blue one. Fuck it, show me. Because what do I got to lose? I'm going to die anyway.
Right.
So you could do that. The melee deck is a little more complicated, but it's just as cool. The designer of the game actually does, I don't want to say fencing, but he does sword fighting. And so he's put all these different moves in there. So you have like a low sweep, an upper, a rising attack, all these different things. And you're basically looking high guard, low guard. So you'll all get a certain number of cards, and then you're going to play a maneuver, and your opponent plays a maneuver, and then you'll compare the two and see what the effects are and how much damage it'll inflict. And then you could, if you have more of the same suit, more of cards that have the same attack. So, for example, I'm going to do a rising attack, but I've got 2 more rising attack in my cards. I could basically triple up and make it this huge attack. So again, lots of fun. I love the aesthetic as you're seeing here. It's got this whole Brian Fromm fairies kind of thing going. In fact, if you've ever seen the movie Labyrinth, and they have the troll who kind of summons the rocks, kind of got a figure for that. That's Boulder, and he can pull the moonstones up from the ground, because essentially what you're doing is you're trying to pull these moonstones up from the ground. They come up every once in a while, but just a really, really fun game. I enjoy it a lot.
It's very easy to pick up too.
Yeah, it's really not terrible to pick up, and you're mainly playing with, the most you're ever going to play is with really 6 figures at this point in time.
Yeah.
And which let me rephrase that. Most games are going to be about 12 figures, but you divide it equally, or as equally as you can, between the number of players who are playing, because this game has also been designed to play certain scenarios, or just even the generic scenario, multiplayer.
Yeah, like 2 to 4.
Yeah, 2 to 4 players. So if I'm playing, so 12 figures, and there's no points on these figures. Everything's kind of balanced. You'll have your different factions that you have to stay within, so you can't mix and match too much, but you're essentially just playing 6 figures. But if I'm playing 2 players, 12 gets divided to 6. If I'm playing 3, you're doing 4 per side. And then if you're doing 4 players, you're doing 3. You could probably fudge it and do 4, because once you get down to 3 figures and you're playing 4 players, it gets a little dicey. Somebody get raffle stomped pretty quick. Ow! Hello, my microphone is working.
And one of my favorite parts about it too, other than all of this other fantastic stuff we've talked about, is the game length is a whopping 4 turns.
Yeah, it can go very quickly.
Yeah, once you know what you're doing, it goes by pretty quick. Otherwise, well, even if you don't know what it's doing, most it would take like an hour and a half, and I'm being generous, and that's like if you really don't know what the hell's going on.
I think, what did we have? 90-minute rounds?
Yeah, I think we had 90-minute rounds, and I think almost every game played to a decisive conclusion.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember, because even the first game of the tournament was my first game of Moonstone, and I mean, the guy I was playing was also not new. It just had been a while since he had played. So there's a lot of rules questions. We were looking stuff up, and I mean, we were still like one of the first games done. So it was pretty quick.
AKA Cody's working on expanding his repertoire, being Grand Masters of everything. He will eventually become Yu-Gi-Oh! King of Games.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I was playing Moonstone Chicago style, basically just murdering everybody.
So you just put a Glock on the table and said, "This is how it's going to go."
Pretty much.
Gotcha.
That's how it goes. Yeah,
that's how both my games went.
If you haven't played it, I would strongly recommend it. I enjoyed it. Cody was there; he played it too. We both had a lot of fun with it. I bowed out early because I was stressing over setting up for the casual 70 Friendly Skies.
And other stuff.
Yeah, and then other stuff.
We'll get into that.
So that
I got to bring pizza to that event at least, so that was worth it.
That was worth it. So
and then my son almost ruining like the Kickstarter thing.
So keeping in mind, I was up late Wednesday because I had 2 chuckleheads staying at my house and they were loud. And then
Playing Commander from what I heard.
And then well, I went to bed at like 11:30. But then we had to get up the next day to be there. I had to get my registration, and then the Moonstone event started at 8, but really didn't kick off till 9. So I had a little bit of leeway. But doing the event right after it, I didn't walk out of the convention center till I got out of there before
Midnight?
12. I was at. They say they close some of those rooms at midnight. I could tell you for a fact they don't. In the Schomburg room, there were people sitting 2 rows down from me, and they were still doing shit.
They're
and
pretty
it was
loose about
12:20
it
when I left.
for the most part until someone ruins it for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I left at 12:20, got home 12:30, 12:40, went right to bed because I had to get up the next day because needed to be at the hall at 8 to put the final touches on some of the tables and deal with whatever registration crap for the big Grand Masters. Overslept. did the Grand Masters all Friday. So Bushido was the dominant game for me, but I was hosting because I have a saying: those who can do, those who can't
host the tournament.
Those who can't host the damn tournament. No, those who can't podcast, and those who can't podcast host the damn tournament.
Okay, well, you also
I know we're posting
you short yourself because the one year that you did play, or the one time that you did do the Grand Masters, I mean, you and Mark shot each other in the foot effectively.
No, we knocked ourselves. Ourselves.
You still did well that tournament, is what I'm saying. So you're cutting yourself short.
So one of the things when you're playing Bushido and you're getting down 2-0, you're always looking at it going, oh, I'll just concede my last point. I'm the dick that says, no, I'm going to make you earn that last point. And let me tell you what happens when someone decides that, no, they're going to make you earn that last point. When you're sitting on the top table 1 and 2, you plunge each other down to around 3 and 5 or 6. Place.
Yeah, so Mr. I suck at this game. The one Masters you did, you finished 5th.
Yeah, that was a whole different edition. This new edition I'd suck at.
Whatever.
It's just because you play Ito.
I play Ito, so
no, it's because he tells people how to beat him. That's how it is. It's like, you're doing this, but why wouldn't you do this and that? Oh, thanks for helping me. And then you get killed, and then your dice sometimes.
I'm too used to promoting the game. Anyway,
there's promoting it, and then there's
just shut up and play the damn game.
There's shut up and let people screw up.
So my Thursday half of the day and all day Friday was dominated by Bushido. And then we went out to eat. So again, didn't get home till like 12:30. Needless to say, I slept in till like 9 on Saturday morning.
On Saturday, and I was like, oh shit.
And then I rolled out of bed. I didn't have anything that I needed to do until like 7 o'clock at night. I don't think I got to the con until like noon.
I think you said that you got to the con at like 1 or 2, dude. When you texted our group, because everybody in our Bushido group was like, all right, so we're not going to the con until like who's got the earliest thing on Saturday, and like everybody's like, we're not showing up before like 1.
So so I didn't get there, but the and then I kind of putzed around the hall and bought some stuff. Was it that day that I bought? No, I did my major shopping the next day. So we'll do that. But what I was there for was my next favorite game, which is let's see if I get the graphic right.
It's the second.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's Arena
Third tab. There you go.
There it is. The Drowned Earth.
Ooh, they've updated their page recently, and I haven't been on their page in a while.
Ooh, the Drowned Earth.
I haven't either.
I like the other page.
They've done a couple demos here in the past, but this time I believe the creator's name is James Baldwin and Christian and Sean, who's local-ish. He used to live in Chicago. Now he's living up in Wisconsin. They were all here. They were running demos every day. They had this event, Hunt the T-Rex, which was just kind of a fun. Oh, I love this website because it automatically just scrolled through the pictures of the game. It's a post-apocalyptic anthropomorphic kind of. The world has gone to all kinds of global warming, and it's now all kind of a jungle, and water's risen everywhere and whatnot, and dinosaurs are back.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It is really I love this game to death, and I really wish it would get a bigger following because the rules for it are so damn slick.
It's got some of the most dynamic movement in a miniatures game.
Yeah. Yes. As I always explain it to people, if you're looking for a game where you could have your miniature run across a thing, jump into the air, shoot something, and then dive in the water, this is the game for you. which the movement mechanic, it sounds like it should be highly complicated. It's not.
No, it's not at all.
I will say it's a very narrative game.
Yes.
So I don't know how tournament competitive it will be, but if you're
Not
looking,
really.
if you're looking for a good campaign, good narrative game, just with some really great rules and just damn fun to play, and visually you get some really good stuff going on it. This is a game for you. So we played, me and Dr. Dice. I dragged Dr. Dice in there with me, and we played this event. And we did the hunt the T-Rex, and really it was every person got one figure, and you're trying to kill a T-Rex, and you got to respawn every time you died because we died a lot. I played my favorite figure. Let me see if I can show you who my favorite figure is here.
Hosk, who doesn't know how to climb and kills himself.
I hosked his ass so many times it wasn't even funny. Where is he? That's not it. He is right here. No, that's Kaneda, the loser crime lord's son.
Do they get more figures? Because if so, I'm gonna have to buy some more crap.
They've got the Corsair faction now.
Yeah, I've got that assembled over there.
Do you have the Trice? The only other new one that I think they added was the Triceratops.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
They added a lot
on
of dinosaurs.
The website later.
They added a lot of dinosaurs. I do know that they do have some of the. I'll show you ones I think you're looking at. So this is Hosk. He's kind of this orphan gorilla that joined the firm, and
he's Harambe with a rocket sledgehammer.
He's got a rocket hammer. Damn it! And that's what I kept trying to climb into place so I could jump on top of this T-Rex and just club him to death with the rocket hammer. Instead, I climbed this high spot and then promptly jumped into the mouth of the T-Rex, and then he killed me. The first time.
That's better than typically what you do with him, where he climbs up, and of course, mind you, he has a reroll to save himself for climbing because he's a monkey, and you blow both of them, and you just splat yourself on some concrete because you don't know how to fall into water, apparently.
No, I don't.
Just reminds me of when we were playing, I think it was Halo 3, and I was jumping off the cliff with the grav hammer, and then I got shot by the Spartan laser as I was making contact with the vehicle.
I did that to you, didn't I?
Yeah, it was you or Corey or Joe, I don't remember. So yeah, those figures.
So these are part of the Yulia Chronicles that came out with the with the Corsairs. These are the generic heroes. Okay. So you can still get these, and you can still slot them into a Drowned Earth thing, but they're not. They're like
more NPC kind of.
No, think of them. Well, you can use them as NPCs, but think of them more as like no named Ashiguri in Bushido.
Oh, okay.
So, and every faction has access to them.
Okay, cool.
But they do have some other. They did have some other. I thought.
Well, that makes me.
Well, we can't reach in now.
Feel better because I saw those and I was like, I don't remember ever seeing.
I don't own this.
Yeah, because
so he's like, I don't own this, and his wallet all of a sudden vigorously shook until his credit card popped out and went magically into his hand.
Pretty much, because like Bushido, Drowned Earth is another game where I own every single figure. So
it is a fantastically fun game, and we had a great time. We taught and. Christian and James and Sean and Sean and Dr. Dice know each other, so we just had a great time talking with them, and hopefully I'm going to start putting some more videos out for Drowned Earth. I just love the game. It's so much fun, and I think our first videos were too busy trying to teach the game to show how much fun it can be.
It can be a lot of fun, but also Drowned Earth is a pain in the ass to film, as we've learned.
Yeah, it's not easy to get some great camera shots with it, and doing it from top down is difficult because it is just very terrain dense. If you're used to playing Infinity levels of United States players versions of Infinity with a crap ton of terrain, Drowned Earth needs it because shooting in this game could be absolutely lethal, and you need as much cover as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. Plus, you just want a lot of stuff, and the trick is though, you really want to move 3-dimensionally. When I play Infinity, there's some 3-dimensional movement, but not really. You might have some people on building tops, but you don't have them jumping from building to building.
Yeah, Drowned Earth is literally you're moving your figure and jumping off of random crap, a box here, a box there, and going parkour.
Seriously, yeah, you're trying to do. You're almost trying to challenge yourself. Is what dumbass thing can I do to get from point A to point B? I see the path I could take, which will be a straight line, but I could do this.
It's
cooler.
It's like role playing, but in miniature form.
Sort of, yeah. It can be, and again, you could do all sorts of fun scenarios with it. So we had a great time with that. Just wonderful. And again, James and them were just absolutely wonderful. Great people. So it was great to meet them. Then while we were sitting around afterwards, because we ran into the Art from GwtG, he was playing in a 40K Titan event where everybody has these big boy Titans and they're in the city and they're smashing shit. It was great. He told us we got to get into it next year, which was very easy to convince Dr. Dice to do that.
He bought a Titan. Well, I think
he bought a Titan. He bought a Titan. Yeah, so it's night
those
battles.
Things are like $400 a pop, aren't they?
Like that. That's like throwing a gauntlet down to that man.
I know it is, but still, I mean, like I would. That's the only way that I would get into really a major 40K thing. Would besides like the Necromunda that we picked up like weeks ago is like that. Just because I can do the giant stuff, but even then, that's like.
I mean, it depends on what kind of night. If it's just a regular night Titan, they're only 150.
That's still like.
Anyway, it's so they were doing that, and Art had bought a boatload of pizza, so he had a whole deep dish Giordano's left over. He's like, "Hey, you guys want this?" And me and Eric were like, "Oh, me and Dr. Dice were like, oh, we're gonna go out to eat anyway, so fuck it, we'll just stay here and eat pizza," which we did, and talked a little bit more with the guys from Drowned Earth. But the event that was happening outside, which is what I got to go and do again, because I remember I had to go to the bathroom, and there's this table. It looks like it's this pit. Like almost like a quarry, and they've got kind of steampunkish cranes and whatnot going around it. But they had a meat grinder attached to the table.
The meat. I think I know what
the grinder
you're talking about. Yeah,
the grinder event, because we're sitting there. Also, we hear meat grinder. I mean, they're just screaming this. Mm-hmm. So as we're going out, we're leaving at about midnight, a little before midnight, because we were talking with another buddy of ours. We're walking out. We actually talked to the guys. We're like, what the hell's going on? Because this sounds freaking awesome. And keep in mind, when I went out there were like 10, 15 people playing. There's like 30, 40 people. People are standing on chairs and tables that are surrounding this table so they could see what's going on. He goes, basically, you bring a figure. You bring a plastic figure, and the combat's simple. 1, 2, 3, you hit. 4, 5, 6, you miss. And everybody gets 2 wounds. And they just beat on each other. And when a figure finally gets killed, it has its head snipped off. So you got to have figures that you don't want to keep anymore. Head gets snipped off, and they put it in the meat grinder. Oh, and its weapon gets snipped off too. And then it goes in the meat grinder. That's when everybody starts chanting, meat grinder, meat grinder.
I've seen them do that a couple years.
And so we're in the convention center. All right. It's getting to be about midnight, and these people are just absolutely screaming at the tables by next to them are now understanding this, because this is in the open play area. They're understanding this thing, and people are just having the time of their absolute life with this. One of the Adepticon guys comes up and he's like, and the guys are like, they look at him like, noise complaint. He goes, yeah, you got to guys keep it down. We got some people complaining about the noise. I'm like, it's not the hotel. It's not like people are trying to sleep in the convention center. If it's that bad, close the damn doors, and it's midnight anyway. You're supposed to be kicking their asses out. So who are you really disturbing this freaking awesome event? No clue. But it was next year, if I get the chance, I might try it. But again, there's so many people there that I'm like, maybe not. But it was, if you're there late at night on Saturday, and Saturday's always fun because they got the parade of armies and everybody's drinking and really socializing. If you're just looking for, even if you're just looking for something fun and rowdy to watch, find out wherever they're running it. And they usually run it in the open play area. Mm-hmm. Or just listen for people chanting meat grinder, and you'll know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
Just absolute fun time. So that was Saturday night. Sunday, so again, I didn't get to sleep till God knows when. Sunday, I was supposed to go and play in Catalyst Games Leviathans. I ditched it. Instead, I got into Best Hobbies. I put their website up, but it's worthless because they don't really show much. But they're making a mecha game called Xeogenesis. What's really cool, and what we didn't know when me and Dr. Dice got into this demo, was the game designers for it are Andy Chambers and Gav Thorpe, former 40K people.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. And I like mecha games. It's a little more Gundam-y. That didn't sound right, but it's a little more Gundam-like than, let's say,
the actual Gundam game.
The actual Gundam game, yeah. Or it's more action, more free-flowing than a BattleTech.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
You get your big mechs, which are the Zeos, and then you get support squads. So you got some smaller figures in power armors that are running around. One's a drone controller. One guy's kind of got a weapon that he could actually shoot at the other mechs. And you get mechanics or hackers or different things like that. So you got a group that's going in. Again, with the demo, we only had 2 Zeos and then 3 support guys. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun playing it. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with that. That's in playtest now. So if you go to Best Hobby Games, you could sign up for their playtest group and get in on that early on that. I think it'll be. I liked it. They had a booth outside of Adventure Hall. So again, we were both me and Dr. Dice were very surprised when we noticed it was Gav Thorpe, because they had one person running our demo, then he timed out at noon, and then Gav came in and ran it for the rest of the time. So we were both kind of surprised when we realized who it was. That was my Adepticon stuff. Shopping wise, we could talk about that in a little bit. But Cody, what other events did you? Jason didn't get to play in a whole lot of events because he.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to go, or you want Jason to go? Because his will be quick.
Mine is super quick.
I played Bushido. I won.
I just played the Grand Master for Bushido. I wanted to do Friendly Skies, but childcare schedule did not work up. So I instead was pizza delivery boy for Friendly Skies.
So I saved all my rage for not playing in Friendly Skies, and I took it out on the entire Bushido community.
Master. Not even close, but
there was that.
It was still funny for having my son walking around the convention hall, and he's having a fun time while I dropped off the pizza, and then he almost jumps in on Catalyst's live stream when they announced
their Kickstarter, and
launched their Kickstarter, and I was like,
he's
wanted to go over there, and then I see it, and I was like, oh, let me move him here. I was like, oh, hopefully he's not on camera. This lady's giving me this kind of snarl, like, what the hell is your problem, lady? And I look at it, and they're at this point, I mean, they funded in 2 minutes, but I look at the thing, I was like, oh shit, this is a $3 million project right here. Okay, I guess I could understand why you're a little bit pissed if you got a little 1-year-old wandering around, and it's just oh, I found this box, gonna hit it now, and then have 2 guys the fuck is this?
It's worth it.
I mean, it probably would have been worth it at that point, especially if I'd done whatever, because the AV guy was in the back and he did not care at all. He was on his phone or whatever.
I mean, they didn't have Leviathan plushies, so
there is that.
They didn't. They had Mecha plushies. I thought about getting that. They didn't have Leviathan plushies. Yeah. If they were really concerned, they could have closed the damn door. The door was open.
Right. So that's why I really didn't care. But otherwise, my Adepticon was pretty much just
Bushido and shopping.
Yeah, Bushido and minimal shopping. But yeah, just the Grand Masters, and then after the Grand Masters, apparently being a great host and getting people really liquored up.
Yep, that was a good time. I'll tell you.
So I had a successful Adepticon, in that way.
Now Cody,
yeah,
Cody had the most
Adepticon.
I had So Wednesday was registration. We already went through that. Thursday played in Moonstone, and after 2 rounds, I had to drop for. Well,
go ahead and say it.
Yeah, I decided to take a trip to the emergency room,
and Gaming Greg took him there. Or no, I meant him there because you actually had
to have the ambulance come.
Yeah,
and get
I had to
you.
get my ambulance.
I even saw the damn text message. Oh, Cody's going to the hospital. I was like, the fuck is he doing? He's winning the damn tournament, because I dropped off one of our friends at the tournament. It was all good. I don't know, man. He's winning so hard.
Yeah, at that point I was 1-1 for a game that was literally my first and second game, so I was feeling really good because my loss was really close, it was almost a draw. But yeah, just don't really know what happened. Had to take the ambulance. They discharged me 2 hours later, and I was like, well, I've missed 3 hours of Adepticon. Let's go. I got to get back.
We literally drive back to Adepticon. And just kind of sat in for the end of the Moonstone event.
Yeah, I mean, I called my wife and let her know I was still alive. And then I went in and I was like, well,
you come back out there and be like, yank you back home, be like, fuck this gaming shit. You're coming home.
Shoot, that's pretty much what she told me on the phone. I was like, I don't have good service,
Through a tunnel, sorry.
Yeah. Oh wait, the ambulance is
there's too loud. Here, it's blocking.
Their body odor is breaking up my cell reception.
Now I will say you were not the only person to have the ambulance come out and get you. I think the ambulance came 2 more times that come.
Oh my god.
Yeah. but I was the first.
You were the first. You're number one. You
broke the seal.
I won something at Adepticon, and that was the first ambulance ride.
Woo!
Yeah. So we got back, and I did not immediately go to Moonstone, not because I was ashamed or anything, but I got distracted by Conquest.
Oh, I didn't.
Picking up the Angry Chickens.
Oh, here, let me see.
That thing.
I didn't get that. Hold on. I'm gonna go back to here, and then I'll share screen in a minute.
That's all
Keep
right.
talking.
So yeah, so the Angry Chickens, it was kind of a meme. They ended up making it. They're literally chickens on giant piles of skulls. And I didn't really care if they were limited edition or not. I just saw them and I was like, I have to buy them. So
I saw it too, but I was just like, I'm not going to paint this, so that's why I didn't pick it up.
That's exactly why. I was like, I'm going to paint this and it's going to be awesome. So then I continued to walk around the vendor hall and got distracted by shiny things. I went over to Wild in the Streets and bought a bunch of crap from them. Like always, I always buy whatever new stuff they have because I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up picking up Shovel Knight, the board game.
Oh yeah.
So
I totally did not prepare graphics for Cody's talking.
Oh no, that's all right. So anyway, finished up my conquest of shopping. Went to the Friendly Skies event. There's some newer players and whatnot, and because of my ER visit, I wasn't feeling 100%. Like I totally could have played, but
you weren't gonna push your luck.
Yeah, I was like, let's just take it easy tonight. So me, Dr. Dice, and then Josh ended up busting out Shovel Knight, and we played that while Friendly Skies was going on, and I gave my seat up to people that were not going to play in the Grand Master, but allowed them to have fun, so I was okay with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Friday, so I got home, well, back to Greg's at, I don't know, 11:30 ish.
Yeah, you got there a little before. Yeah, you got it about an hour before me.
Yeah, I don't remember what time, but basically crashed, head hit the pillow, done. Got up early for the Grand Masters. It was awful. not anything.
Spoiler alert. It was awful.
Tournament was run fantastic, but round one I went up against a Tengu list in a zone control, and he had War Weary and I had Blizzard. It was just the one matchup that was like, yeah, I was like, it's not unwinnable, but it is. I'm giving up the first point. I'm hoping for a 2-1 win towards me. So, and my opponent was fantastic.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good.
I was playing the Cocaine Bear and
cocaine
whatnot. And I know we'll get more into that later, but yeah. So I was playing mid-tier tables. It was a good time for the most part for the rest of Bushido. So whatever time we got back that night, I got up again early Saturday. And
because you were playing.
I played Free Blades. So I decided to get to the con at 8 a.m. every single day to play in the tournament.
Damn, dude.
So
to be young.
So I played Free Blades, and then Josh, he did not have a free band or anything, and he showed up and he asked the owner of DGS Games, he's like, I really want to play the Trillions, which are like wood elves basically. Do you have room in the tournament, and can I borrow figures? And he's like, let me do a quick check. And he ended up going out to his car and getting him his own figures and let him play in the tournament.
That's spectacular.
That's a legit move right there.
So that was really cool. And like, it was just a really friendly community, and I had a good time. I played against the guy that actually took second place. He kicked the crap out of me, but it was a good game. And that I actually got to play against their studio painter in round one. So
what did you play? What faction?
So this year's Adepticon theme was Cocaine Bears.
So therefore Free Blade was, how much cocaine can I give to multiple bears?
So you were
I played Kuzaric. Yeah, Kuzaric, which are the dwarves.
There they are.
And they have a model called the Stoneclaw Savage, and it's a giant polar bear with a dwarf on top. I took 2 of them. So Yeah.
2023, Year of Cocaine Bear. I really got to actually see that movie, or maybe I'll just buy it when it comes out on DVD or something.
Yeah, I need to.
I think they'll
I
give
need
it
to
away
see it
for
too.
free.
Oh, they might, but you
So,
never know.
Anyway,
movie, dude.
for Free Blades, my goal was to go 2 and 2. I went 1 and 3, but
Yeah.
2 of the games were really close. My first game was technically a draw, but the way tiebreakers went, I ended up losing that one. And then my last game was also a draw, but because of tiebreakers, it resulted in a loss for me. So
Yeah.
it was kind of dumb because it was like all the way down to the last tiebreaker. I'm like, really? But they got to have it. So unfortunate for me, but yeah, that was a good time. And then Sunday was just my shopping finalization day, and hung out around the Free Blades to watch the U.S. kick Canada out of the running, because it was, I think it was 3 guys from the U.S. and 1 Canadian in the top 4 for Free Blades.
Oh, they made the cut? Okay.
Yeah, and they actually had to play 2 games. So it was quite interesting, and both of them are really close games, so that was a lot of fun. And trying to think if I bought anything else.
Well, I know I forgot that.
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, I bought 2 other things.
We'll cover your buying. So what did you buy?
Well, I already talked about Shovel Knight, all that.
Shovel
And
Knight,
then I did get the House Long Shadow box.
Oh, yes. That was the big GCT thing.
Probably gonna see if I can find that at some point.
They just had the Long Shadow, and they had the 2 blisters of...
2 Kitsune blisters that they didn't come out, I think, outside of Gen Con or something.
Allegedly. Yeah, I don't know. I never
Well,
saw
they did.
them.
They did because Brian showed me them, because I asked Brian, and then I was word on the street when people were like, where are the pre-releases? And I had to like jump on Discord, word on the street is this, and then someone's like, did word on the street give you pictures? I'm like, hang on, I'll be there in like an hour.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
They sold out like instantly, because
the Kitsune were gone the first day.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, probably.
So my little ER trip was like 1 in the afternoon, so I was in the vendor hall around noon, and they were already sold out of all the Kitsune.
They had 2 Long Shadow boxes left. I know where they are.
Yeah, they're crab nerds.
I'm probably thinking, that's why I was like,
might only be one.
I might pick up the other one then. Who knows?
So
add to my ninjas.
I was really excited about that. Picking that up. It's a beautiful box, and actually reading the cards, like I read them in play testing and whatnot, and I was kind of like, man, whatever. I'm not a ninja player, but now that I have them, I'm like, these might actually be kind of fun and right up my alley to play. So yeah, we're gonna mess with them a little bit. I got them primed up over on my paint station right now, and then with a bunch of other crap. Then yeah, for the binder, I can go into that real quick, because none of us took pictures because we're terrible. So
did they have a binder at the GCT booth?
They did. They showed us when we would come through. You had to ask.
I was too busy I was too busy talking with Gordon about Gordon and Alistair about other things.
Well, me too. And then I finally looked through the binder like Saturday night or maybe Sunday. I don't remember. And I was like, there's no way no one hasn't taken pictures, because cell service sucks out there. So it's not like I was on Discord all day. And then I was like, wow, I feel terrible that none of us took pictures. So
I didn't even know they had a binder with that. So
yeah,
Enos had mentioned it, but it's like I kind of flipped through a couple pages, but I didn't really go all in on it. I didn't bother to do other stuff, so that's just my bad. So I said I'm sorry to the community.
Any cool spoilers that were in the binder?
So there's a chick with like scrolls or like letters like all over her dress.
I wonder if it's like when you go to the Japanese shrines and you leave little messages and whatnot.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. So there's that. There was a Nizumi that had like 2 daggers, kind of looked ninja-y. I think I'm trying to remember the pose and stuff. There was a like ice bear kami looking thing.
Oh damn! You got like really into there.
Just what we need.
There was.
I remember seeing a mermaid like snake woman, which is like, oh, that'd be a cool Ito model, but I think they've shown that before. But
yeah, that one's been shown. I think that one was at UK.
Probably.
There's Master Enos's last profile picture. Like the
Oh my
chick
God.
with the sword wearing like a blue robe kind of.
Mm,
I like Ayoko's. I think you were there for that, weren't you?
I don't know.
I think Cody, you were there because I was looking through it, and it was funny because I heard Gordon like tell Alex like, "Oh, okay, we're really gonna bring this up." So apparently, they had a cart cover book, and I remember it was like a little girl with like a silverback. It's like, "Oh, cool, there's gonna be
Oh
like
no, not
an
that
add
one,
on
but
to the
yeah,
silverback," and then Alex just looks at me. He's like, "Hey, Gordon, you want to tell him this story?" He just looks at him like, "Fuck off." Apparently, the artist misunderstood the drawing instructions,
yeah.
and instead of it being a silverback, they basically drew this like awesome silver-looking gorilla with a
It
little
was a
girl.
silver gorilla. Yeah,
It was. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
lie. I was like, if you made that into a figure, that'd be pretty badass. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's just hilarious.
Well, I do know someone who's supposed to be making a figure.
Oh, dude, I already decided it.
I know
the
you've already
urchin. I'm gonna
decided.
make the urchin
Shh.
Buto.
The urchin Buto.
Yeah,
He's a Buto, but he's a pickpocket.
he's basically gonna be Cartman. He should just be Cartman.
Oh, there you go.
I saw someone reference that, it's like, oh, it could be an urchin. What about a Buto urchin? And afterwards, I thought about it. And I was like, oh, I could make Cartman from the episode where they were all samurai, where they were all like playing ninja
Oh, they're in
fighters.
the anime. Yeah.
I was like, I should totally do that.
Yeah, I can't remember anything else now out of the binder, but then in
That's
the
fine.
In the showcase.
there's the sheepdog looking thing for Gordon said that was for Temple, I believe.
Oh,
There was a
yeah.
resin render in the
And
case,
then,
and
yeah,
then
they
there's
had 2 other models in there too. And I
Yeah,
know they showed us like artwork for like a goblin that was like taken over by some kind of fungus thing.
yeah
Oh,
That-
yeah.
that's a
that-
Bakemono, and then there was a Minimoto model.
Yes. Minimoto model, yay. And
Yeah.
it looked badass, and I'm guessing that it did not look like an Ashigaru, so I'm guessing it's another awesome samurai.
It's actually that one is Grandmaster Al's model.
Oh, there you
okay.
go.
Yeah. I know what it does, but
Well, don't.
yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I don't even know if I can say the names of some of these.
Don't worry. Just
Yeah.
be quiet. It's all
I
good.
can just say that I saw the Minimoto samurai. It looked badass, and I was like, oh, fuck. They're going to get another awesome
Rich,
samurai.
just keep getting richer.
Yeah, no,
Cocaine, awesome samurai.
all the models looked really cool, and yeah.
Okay, see, I totally missed that. So
I only happened to notice it after like my second time or third time over to the booth, and I was just like, oh, they got these these figures out there that were in resin, and they were the only figures that really weren't painted compared to everything else. So you really had to look on the top side, and you have to be also basically facing the register to have seen them. Otherwise, you would have totally missed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they weren't there on Wednesday night, I think, when I
No.
snuck into the vendor hall and took a look. So
Shh, we don't want them tightening up Adepticon security.
I mean, I had a vendor badge on, so
That's true. At least you did have a vendor badge.
yeah.
We're like Art, who like went super ninja and was like, "Ha, sneak in!"
Yeah,
I'm like,
Art just walked in like he
Yeah.
knows, like he knows
Yeah.
what he was doing. He was supposed to be there.
I praised the man for his confidence.
So there was the purchase of Long Shadow. We kind of got off topic
Yeah,
there,
sorry.
and then the other thing, which myself and Gaming Greg and Dr. Dice and basically everyone but Jason got into, is War Gods of Egyptus, right? Or I don't remember how the hell you call it. Yeah, War Gods. There was crocodiles, these little crocodiles running around with like, one's holding a fish and the other ones have these like things of
There you
soup,
go.
and apparently they deliver it to the other crop. I didn't give a crap. I just wanted the one that was hugging the fish. So that it went from wanting like maybe an $8 figure to dropping like $200, but you know, I got that guy. That guy's awesome.
Okay, that's kind of a cool looking model.
Yeah, so
That's got to be a bitch though, into some regards, to assemble. If you're like, I mean, the hammer is at least the solid point, but I mean, like, if you're balancing all of that on there, are the models metal or resin?
The
Metal.
hammer is metal,
Okay.
and then his body is all resin.
Okay.
Oh
that's
yeah,
not
they
that
did
bad
say
then.
that they're transitioning. They're transitioning most of their stuff into resin.
Yeah, well, that
Okay,
one was
that's-
still a pain in the balls to assemble, but
I mean, it's a pain to assemble,
The
but at
metal
least
ones were not a
if
joy
the
to
hammer
do.
is metal,
if
then
you
it's like that
scroll
thing's not
down
gonna
a
hold
little
her.
bit, because there's the chef.
It's got a little crack. It's got a little baby
Yeah.
crack.
So that was like the first model I saw. I was like, okay, that guy's kind of cool. And then the little nippers or whatever. That
Mm-hmm.
he's the smallest one, but then there's like a set of like 8, and yeah, the one hugging the fish. I'm like, I need like 8 sets of this because it's just too funny. So
yeah, you got those. I decided I'd go on a different route because I fell in love with the Wendigo.
which is the other faction I wanted.
Let's see if I can find it. So they have an Ice Witch as their leader. So basically, with War Gods, it's kind of your rank and flank. I would almost say it's a rank and flank skirmish game because you're getting about 30. You're getting 20 to 30 figures, maybe 40 figures out there. The difference is you have your leader. So instead of being, I'm trying to Clash of Spears. You really don't have hero on hero combat. You can, but it's really nothing too spectacular to talk about. Heroes in this game, if you're doing the War Gods of Olympus, you're a demigod. If you're doing War Gods of Egyptus, you are the harbingers of the different Egyptian gods. If you are playing the Wendigos, the Hyborians, you're the Ice Witches, which are the living manifestation of the Hyborian guards, whatever they are. So again, and then not only that, but then you could play like the different Titan monsters and things along there, like Hydras and things along those lines. So I went with the I went with the Hyborians because I really liked the concept of some of these. I'm trying to find a cool one. Oh, here we'll just go with the Chieftain because he's kick ass, which they won't let me. Well,
that's expand. Yeah, well, so much for that.
Similar item to this. Nope. Look at this.
Okay, so you just can't expand the Wendigos. So
got 3 really cool, so the Wendigos are the newest faction to it. But they looked really, really cool. And so then I went and dropped like $200+ on it, and they suckered us in because
there's no suckering you
no,
in.
no,
It's literally
they did sucker us in because Brian comes in and check out this cool game. They're only charging $10 for their rule books. $10 for a rule book? Fuck that! I'll buy that.
Hardcover rule book.
Hardcover rule book.
Okay. That's like so. All right, I guess this isn't as bad as like accepting candy from a stranger with the dark out tin ban.
It was close enough.
We've also looked at from a distance this game for like the last couple years at Adepticon because they had an awesome demo board,
which now our friendly local gaming store. Now, granted, it's the farthest friendly local gaming store has it.
Still mad about that. I'm like, everybody in the Schaumburg location just bought into this game. Why'd you ship it down to Batavia?
Because he needs to start drumming up business down there.
Oh, I get that, but none of us are driving down there. Well, you might when you go to the office, but
going to the office
when and if I ever go to the office, that's going to be I don't want to say a cold day in hell, but eventually I'll get there. Hang on a second, I'm going to see if they can show that. There it is. If I could find the game board. Oh, yeah, look. Oh, they actually had somebody playing on it the other day.
Yeah, 40K.
Looked like AOS.
Whatever. It's Games Workshop. It sucks.
Here it is. Let's switch back to this was the setup that Crocodile Games had, which our friendly local game store then went and purchased, which is now in his game store. Once we get our crap painted, which for me might take a long time, for Cody it'll be like a weekend.
It'll be a work day. He probably is almost done now.
No, I haven't primed it because I'm waiting because they had a mispack, but so far their customer service is fantastic. So
that's good.
I may just try to run Arena Rex on it.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be awesome. King of the Hill
kind of deal. Yeah, everybody's running around doing stuff, pushing people off of ramps, off of ledges, off of waterfalls. Put some monsters in there. It'll be cool. But yeah, that was my big con splurge, which was that I bought a few other things. Sorry, I'm messing around with this. I bought that. I dropped most of my money on that, and then because we're doing a Necromunda campaign here soon, I bought my Orlok Gang box because it was almost impossible to find Orlok gamers at any of the local game stores. Gangers, I should say. Just the basic box. Didn't have it at Games Plus. Didn't have it at Grognard's. Didn't have it at a couple other places. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just I went to the game. I went to the Games Workshop booth at Adepticon, and they had it. They had one, so I grabbed it and then said done. And so I got that. I got a boatload of War Gods Hyborian, and then I did stop at on Sunday before I went and did the Genesis. I did stop at the Arena Rex booth because I love all the guys there.
Yeah.
Walker and the rest, Walker and Frank.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I had bought earlier in the con the new rules. So if you play Arena Rex, which I highly recommend, it's a great game.
Oh yeah.
And while I'm saying that, we'll boop. So I went and bought the new revised rules. However, you could just go on their website and download them for free. I'm just a sucker. I like having a book in my hands, but they have the new rules. You can just go and get the new rules, all the new revised cards. I bought the new revised cards. I bought all the rules. But if you already got the figures and just want it for free,
you can just download it.
Download it. I love these guys. I absolutely love these guys.
The only thing better is when you have a nice fancy app for your game, like what we have for Bushido, because that is way better than a rule book.
Okay, well, we got super lucky with that one.
Yeah. Well, if I ever take the time to learn how to program apps, which will be never, then I'll make an Arena Rex app. But until such time, that's not going to happen. But what's funny is so we're in the Arena Rex booth, and I'm talking with Walker and them a little bit, and I'm there with Dr. Dice. And I bought the Chimera Proximo. I've been thinking about getting this. I've been thinking about pulling this trigger on this figure for ages. To be perfectly honest, the reason why I didn't buy him is he intimidates the fuck out of me.
Oh yeah, they did a really good job painting him.
So when are you sending him to my house?
Probably really soon. Probably really soon. I mean, he is just a gorgeous figure. And his game and the game rules for him are really cool too.
Yes.
But so while I'm there and I bought the figure and again, it's been a while. I normally play an Arena Rex event every year because I love it. Arena Rex is one of those games that if you play it and you go to a con, it's the same people year in, year out. You make some great friends playing the game, and it's just fun. And Walker and them give away so much prize support on the damn thing.
Their prize support is ridiculous.
And they do these crazy, crazy scenarios, so it's a lot of fun. So you may be thinking you're going in and you got this thing cornered. No, you don't, because they're going to do something dumb. And by dumb, I mean dumb fun. And you just have a great time with it. I didn't play in it because I wanted to do the Drowned Earth event this year. So, and their Thursday night, they do a Thursday night. They call it the Cerberus, which is basically it's a 3-way battle on there, and that thing sells out like within an hour. The Saturday event, which is a bit longer and is more of a tournament format, that one usually they have openings for people drop because they're doing other things on a Saturday night. But again, I decided to do something different. So
that one has a weird start time too.
They do have a weird start time.
It's like 1 to 9 or something like
that. Yeah. So it's a really weird thing. But I don't blame them because they got to man the booth early, and it's just 2 of them there.
Yeah.
So one's doing the event, the other one's in the booth. Because I actually had to do in between rounds. I had to go run and grab something for Walker and bring it back from the booth. So we're sitting there talking. And then this young couple comes up, guy and a girl, and they're looking at the game. And I think Walker was kind of explaining it a little bit, or we were just, both me and Dr. Dice were just kind of pitching it, talking a little bit. Dr. Dice was talking it up. I go, do you want to watch? You want a demo? They're like, okay. So I just immediately jumped into their setup, which is like a Playmobil Coliseum that's really painted nice. And I immediately demoed the game for like 20 minutes. And then I'm like, as soon as I got to the selling point, I'm like, and let's go talk to Walker, see about what we could set you up to. You got a 2-player starter? He goes, no, we don't really got a 2-player starter, which I already knew. But we got these different starters. So you pick your family, and they just went right, smooth transition because we're like that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I tried to sabotage that too. I kept throwing random figures in the middle of the demo and walking away.
So it was fun. I love demoing that game because that game is just
it's
so
really
much
easy
fun.
to demo.
It's easy to demo. It's fun.
It's Arena Rex, Wild in the Streets. Were Relic Blades minus needing all of the terrain. Those 3 games are the kind of game that you can just throw in your bag, take to the game store, even Moonstone. And it's like, okay, we're going to the store, we're playing Bushido. We get through the game, we don't have time to play a second game, but let's play something else. You can bust out any of those games, and it's not hard to remember the rules, and you can just play. Sometimes you can even get 2 or 3 matches in the time it takes for like one, Bushido game, and Bushido's quick too. So
yeah, Bushido can be quick. The way we play it sometimes drags.
Well, Jason's slow playing everybody, but
oh snap! Well,
my pride.
Wouldn't know. I didn't play against you in this tournament, so I was at the bottom tables.
So
I understood my assignment. Cody was not able to fulfill his duties. So I'm like, oh shit! All right, I guess I got to do this then.
Yeah, there you go.
Medical emergency, whatever.
This may be the next best segue into. Then let's talk briefly. Let's talk as much as we can about the actual Bushido tournaments.
I can go into every die roll.
I'm pretty sure you get 1, 1, 1.
Exactly.
I didn't have kind of
spoilers.
6, 1. So
we can start with me, so that way we can
end with Jason, start with
Grand Masters.
We're starting with me. The boring part of this whole damn thing.
Oh, okay.
So to give you an idea, Thursday was an exciting day on many levels for Grandmaster Cody and Gaming Greg, with Cody going to the emergency room and Gaming Greg going there with him.
Well, Gaming James.
So we did that.
You need help, guys.
So keeping in mind, we haven't set up a damn thing for the Thursday night event.
My bad.
We got there. We were there on Wednesday, and I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'll come in early Wednesday, and if there's nothing running on my tables ahead of time, then I'll just set it up and leave it all day Thursday while I'm playing Moonstone. And when I walk in, boom, it's just hell. I'll put objectives out, and then or zones or whatever the hell we're gonna do first round and set. Because I could do that within an hour from when Moonstone was supposed to end and where my event starts. Easy peasy. Well, Wednesday night, they decided to do the big GW release, whatever the hell you want to call it, on Wednesday night for 10th edition and the Lion and all this other bullshit crap. So we were actually there. They finished the GW event somewhere around 10:15. They actually pulled the dividers between the rooms because Schaumburg got divided into 2, one for the GW, preview release thing, and then the other side was for the rest of the miniature games. We saw them setting the room up, so I'm like, well, there's no way in hell I'm setting my tables up tonight. So, because I thought, if I'm going to do that, hell, I'll just drive home 10 minutes, grab my shit, come back, and then Art just will bring his stuff, and Art was sitting with me. He just run to the hotel, and we'll just stay up late setting up. Done. So we didn't get to do that on Wednesday. Thursday, played Moonstone. Cody, again, I was going to drop probably the last round of Moonstone anyway, just so that way I'd have time to go and set up and make sure everything was cool.
I just made your decision easier.
Easier. So I texted Art, I'm in the emergency room with Cody, and so then Art, God bless him. God bless Art from Gitsapalooza. So he takes it on himself to kind of get everything rolling. That's when we discover itty bitty problem. So we get to the room, and we're not sure exactly what tables we're supposed to be on. I had seen a layout of the room already, and there's dudes who are on my table, and I'm like, okay, when are you guys going to be done? Because we start at 7. He's like, well, we kind of wrap up at 6, but we do our awards, but we're going to take on, so maybe it's 6:30. I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to set up 16 tables, terrain and everything else in a half hour. Yeah, ain't going to happen. So then Art went to go talk with some other people. He talked with Adepticon people. That's where we discovered they shorted that entire room by 1 row of tables.
Oh.
Whose tables were they that they shorted? This guy's. So this is where I give them credit. They scrambled. They found an immediate solution, and this is where I'll say I was thankful it was Bushido, because they had plenty of 6 by 30 and 6 foot 72 by 30 tables, which is shockingly enough the perfect size to play Bushido on, because the Bushido board is only 2 by 2. Great, and I could put 2 boards on a 6-foot table. So they ran 1 row out, but they're like, all right, but you're probably going to have to jump a row. So there was a war cry event between the row that they put in, and then They were going to have us jump for. We had a row and a half of tables essentially that we were supposed to set up on. Again, between the Adepticon people and the people who were running the Warcry event, God bless them, they gave us half their tables, took the half because they would have been connected by theirs without any jumping. So we were able to get all of our tables where we basically had one common row we could walk down. So we got that all hashed out at about 5:30. So it gave us an hour and a half to kind of set up. So I'm running around like a chicken with head cut off. We're putting tables down. Art's there. Carl, his son's there helping. Josh Holder's there. The Bushido Badgers are helping out. I'm helping out. And, we're trying to get everything done. We're trying to get chairs.
Yeah.
So it just added to the stress of all that, getting it done. But we got everything ready. We maybe started a little late for the casual tournament. And then Gordon and Alex and Alistair come over and they drop off a whole boatload of prize support, figures and templates and dice and all sorts of stuff. Now me thinking, okay, because I had gone into this wanting to do, well, we're going to do a bunch of casual things. We'll put it in a tournament format, but I'm going to have achievements where I shout out things in the middle of the match. And the first person who does it yells out Bushido and puts their hand in the air, and then they get to select from our prize thing. I gave away everything. I think I had like 2 achievements every match or something like that.
Oh.
There was one match I had like 3.
Jesus.
And it was things like first player to control all the zones, and we had like 3 zones across 3 4-inch zones across the middle. I think it was Sekiyu or something like that. First person to control all 3 zones at the end of a round or end of a scoring round gets a prize. First person to one-shot a figure that has 5 wounds or more gets a prize. So it was just little things like that can just kind of distract you from actually trying to win the scenario. Have all objectives friendly to you at any one time at the end of a round. So things like that. I remember because one of the players, and then we had overall, whoever had the most tournament points would get something, and then whoever had the most overall kills would get something, which was funny because there was one round where one of the players was like, oh, I'm playing goblins. I can't get the prize for getting a one-shot kill because I only have 3 or 4 wounds. I'm like, sorry. Needless to say, he killed 12 of them, he killed 8 of them. And guess who won the overall kill victory? That guy. So,
yep.
It all works out in the end. But that seemed to go over very well. We have other plans that me and Art were talking at length and often with Gordon from GCT about what we would like to do for Adepticon, and I'll get into that probably in a different video of what we're thinking of doing. The only problem is manpower for it, not terrain, not anything like that. It's really just manpower. So if it's our goal, we will be running things. We're going to be running things essentially 24/7. I should say 24/7. We're going to have the tables ready to play events every day of the con. Just about as long as the room is open, we'll have something going on there. But we need to have people kind of manning to help out with rule questions, doing demo things. It'll be very much an open play experience. If you had done the War Machine Iron Arena, we're thinking of trying to do something similar to that. But we may also have some other cool narrative things like special narrative tables and whatnot that you could play cool events and they kind of string to other tables. And those we might just have you don't even have to have figures for it. We'll have the figures because we want to key it to special story things. I think the thing we pitched to Gordon was, we'll have one where it's and I've seen cool either 3D printed or MDF boards with kind of like a feudal Japanese castle, and this is Lord Akira for Ryu's thing, and somebody's hired the Shadowwind clan to go and assassinate him, and the goal is Shadowwind assassinate him, survive, and you play it as long as you want. And you probably and we'll probably have some other special rules for it, but essentially it's that's all there is. But then the next table is, all right, well, Ryu, whatever happens, Ryu figures out who did the contract against them, and they call their allies the Minimoto to go and smash I don't know, Ito. So you do that. And then we have another one, somebody else is influencing something and sending the Jung are now moving into a port that's, that's taking over the docks. But those docks are controlled by the Silver Moons, so you don't muscle in on their territory. So again, we could do really cool, heavily terrain themed tables that are more narrative and again, just fun open play kind of stuff. We'll still do the Grand Masters, but that's kind of the thought process, which I said I would talk about later, but now I'm talking about now. So that was Thursday. I will say what their goal was. My goal was is sitting at 70 rice. So you make 70 rice bands, but you could change up your list as much as you want. Hell, you could play a different faction every round. I didn't care. It was just to have fun. I gave everybody about 5-10 minutes in between rounds to change up their thing before I yelled out pairings. So that way you couldn't tailor it to play. If somebody just came in with one list, you can't tailor your list to play against that person. So you didn't know who you're playing against. And then not tailor it. Because again, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be learning. We had a lot of new players. And a lot of those players that played that event really came away with great experience of it. Even though they got rickrolled, they still enjoyed themselves, which was what the goal of the whole day was. Or the evening, I should say, was. But I was hoping that 70 rice would make it really quick, and we did 90-minute rounds. Needless to say, I think the average finish time was about average finish round was about 3 or 4 rounds for most tables. Okay. I racked it up too. I would say a lot of those. I'd say at least half the tables they were teaching games, which again nobody had a problem with. That was the other part of having the achievements in there, so you didn't feel like you were getting shafted by not being able to compete because you weren't competing out, but you could win 2 prizes just by doing achievements. Somewhat of a trade-off. Again, open play. That was Thursday. Grand Masters Friday. That was just a long, long day. You've never judged a tournament, and again, it was we and slight mishaps. I thought we were going in with like 28 people, 26 people. We had a bunch of people that didn't contact me by email, which is what we put on
the page,
the Adepticon official page. We gave an email, said, hey, email us your list ahead of time so we could have it. So we had like 3 or 4 people that didn't do that. They didn't go on Longshanks and enter their thing. So if you notice, there's like 3 or 4 people that didn't have their lists on Longshanks. That's because they registered day of, I don't want to say they registered day of, but we got their information day of, like 20-30 minutes before the round started, because they didn't identify themselves as people who didn't email or didn't register on Longshanks. Then you add in that when we got the first round pairings up and going, there was one gentleman that didn't identify himself as not being checked in and all the rest of it. And I got to do a little better job of that because I was a little flustered because I got up late and got to the con late. So we didn't get him in first round. This is where I will say on the Discord, I was very much against Longshanks. Having used it for this major tournament, I'm very much on board on Longshanks. I will also say other part of the reason I'm also very much on board with Longshanks for using it for your tournament organizing is Sam absolutely is spectacular. So word had gotten out that I had some concerns, and one of the guys actually had Sam's text or email or something like that. So we're texting and emailing Sam about this first round because we had the 2 guys. One guy was our ringer who then became an official player. I think he actually finished in 5th with his cult. And then we had this other gentleman who I botched getting in. Well, we had to add them back in, but first round was already set. In fact, we finished scoring first round, so I didn't know how to do it. Sam came in. I explained the situation. He's like, okay, well, you could add him in the second round. That's not a problem. Like, yeah, but it's going to screw with the scoring and strength of schedule for the first round. He goes, this is something everybody's asked. Can you add somebody in after the first round? He goes, you can, but from you doing it is really, really difficult. He goes, I can do it, but I'm going to actually bust in. And he whipped out his laptop and literally programmed it right there to get it in and fixed everything. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. I was so glad that he was there. I was so glad it was able to get fixed. So we had everybody in. So we were able to officially have 32 players for all 4 rounds. Although one player did, and that's the other thing that was amazing about the Grand Masters. It was a long ass day. We only had 1 drop, and that was for the last round. 1 drop. It was great. Absolutely great. So we, it was a good day. It was a long day flipping tables. Both me and Art are very passionate about the fact that we like judge set tables over player set tables. We talk with Gordon and them about it a bit. And we'll probably do that. Does it make it a pain in the ass to flip tables? Absolutely. But again, we're just like it that way.
I just laughed at, like, all the tables had a decent amount of terrain, and then as scenarios were happening, all of a sudden you see the piles of terrain piling up on that side of the table.
We still would have an official amount. We still had the proper amount of terrain and the spacing out for everything. So you had 6 to 7 pieces of terrain. I think there was a table that might have had 8 on every table. We just had to parse down some of the bigger pieces with some of the scenarios, and then jockeying back and forth and so on and whatnot. So it just takes a lot of doing, but we feel it's worth it. Will we do it again next year? Who knows?
Yes.
Will we run the event next year? Who knows?
Yes.
Right now in the post glow, we're like, oh yeah, we want to do this, that, and the other thing, and then we're probably going to get about 2 months out and be like, do I really want to do this shit again? But we'll see. So that was kind of the tournament thing, and then the post tournament. Once we'd finished everything, again, I didn't have as much GCT booty. And one of the things that I'm probably bad at as a tournament organizing is hitting up different businesses and different gaming things to get free shit to give away.
Yes, that's the reason why I'm the one who reaches out to people for collabs.
That's for that, and that's also something I lean on Dr. Dice because he's shameless.
He also knows everybody.
Well, he knows everybody.
Well, goddamn, he knows everybody. Spends enough.
Well, no, it's not just because he spends. He just knows everybody. But but again, we still had the sword. We still had the Ghost 2020 Bushido dice. Those were fun to give away. Everybody got a little Bushido template from Mastercraft Miniatures. I think everybody came away with some decent stuff. So it wasn't too bad. And those two painting prizes, because we had a tie for first place for painting. First, second, and third place each got their Adepticon medal. And then there was the wooden sword, which I really felt terrible about, but that's more of a local meta.
That's a local thing.
That's a local thing. But it was a cool kendo sword. So most people are like, man, I wish I would got it, except for the guy who actually won it, because he's like, I'm getting more wooden swords and I don't want any more.
The poor guy said, all I want to do is not take last place. And he
took home the sword.
I took last place. Yeah. So
it happens.
So that was my judging experience. The post party, we'll call it the post party after the event, was great. I got to enjoy Australia's finest cookie, the Tim Tam.
Oh, I got that. After round 1. So you guys have been missing out because
so good.
Damien gave me those after round 1. He's like, "Oh, here, I brought these from Australia." It's like, "Oh, sure, I'll have some." It's like, "Oh my god, Kit Kats are dead to me now."
Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't find out about those until after, because I probably would have had another ER trip. Because I think those things I ate like 12 of them or something like that.
Like Australia and stuff like that, they care about what goes into your body. So God knows it probably actually just made you healthier.
I didn't even look at the calories. I didn't want to know, because I was like, I'm going to destroy this package, and if you put another one in front of me, I'm going to eat that one too.
Well, he opened the big packages up afterwards when we were drinking.
Well, that's
And then I remember, so when I went shopping for round 3 is where I finally opened up the sake. So 2 of the cool things, I wish I would have taken pictures of it, is I bought the brand of sake that I bought was Bushido, Way of the Warrior sake. They come in little cans. It was actually pretty good. I didn't mind it because normally when I drink sake, it tastes like turpentine. This did not taste like turpentine. Then what was cooler is then there was Lucky Dog sake, which it looks like a kid's juice box. I gave it to my good friend Carl from Canada, from the Ottawa area. I gave him one of the juice boxes because he looks like he needed it. And then there was somebody else. I'm like, who wants an adult juice box? So everybody's sucking on sake out of a cardboard box. So they go, and what do they say about that? Was it good? Was it bad? He goes, for sake out of a juice box, this is pretty damn good. But that was the start. We started about round 3, and then afterwards we were drinking sake. Somebody else had mead. Somebody
busted
else
out a
brought
bottle of tequila.
It was
I drink
So-
water.
You drank. You probably
Yeah,
should only have
yeah.
drank water. So that was the tournament organizers thing. Because by the time we got to end of round 4, as soon as the damn thing was over, it was like a weight was off my shoulders. Oh, thank God, nothing went totally fucked up. So happy. Shut up. All right. So that's from my point of view. So if you're ever thinking about doing a tournament and you're doing a highly competitive tournament like a Grand Masters with a lot of fucking people, which
Bring
32
booze.
is a lot of fucking people, just be prepared for have good support, which I did with Art Wagner. If you're watching this, I could not have done this without you. And if you're not helping me, I probably won't. It's not a threat. That's just saying that I'm incapable of doing it on my own.
Well, I mean, even last year, I mean, you had Brian's help too, and I mean,
I had
like,
Brian's
it
help too.
is a 2-man operation to run that event.
To be perfectly honest, it's a 3 or 4 man operation, especially if you're flipping tables.
Minimum is 2.
But minimum is 2. I will say Longshanks makes it a hell of a lot easier to do. A hell of a lot easier to do.
I just, on the Longshanks topic, I just like the fact that, you know, I'd sit down across from my opponent and it's like, okay, just pull it up. I'm like, all right, like the Tengu guy, for example, I'm like, oh, okay, your list makes sense. I kind of knew what it did, but I didn't have to like ask for cards, or, you know, if there was a model I wasn't sure about, I could have asked about it. But
yeah,
I like that over just a paper list, because if I see, you know, it's the same thing, but
right,
it's like there, I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's easy, and with the app, then you just flip back to the app to look at the cards, and it's easy.
Exactly.
So yeah, between Longshanks allows you to be able to do that, but yeah. So I survived my experience. Cody, how did you do? Well, and I will help showing, because I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna turn it over to you now, and then we'll go to Grandmaster.
Round 1, we kind of, well, I already kind of talked about it. I got paired up against Tengu. It was the matchup that I didn't want to see. It was rough. I don't remember. Did I lose? Did I get 1 victory point off that? Or
hang on, I'll find out.
No, I think I lost 2-0. So yeah, that one was just rough.
That's not what I wanted to do.
Back arrow. Oh wow, that actually worked.
Yeah, you need to hit the little
I button.
Yeah, it's weird on the computer.
There we go.
I never used it on the phone. So yeah, oh no, I did get 1 scenario point. Cool. That one was rough. The little freaking eagle that can flank in every.
Oh my god, I hated that thing.
Yeah,
but it was a good target for.
So that was rough. And then so my list, real quick, it was Army of the Minimoto. I was running just a regular Ashigaru, an Unblessed, Aya, Nico, Rio with Aspect of the Bear, and then Cocaine Bear. And then I had Blizzard, Hasty Bear, just a scratch. Pretty straightforward list. You know, no tricks really. It wasn't just put Minimoto out without Grey Pilgrim crutch and all the other crap. I had the Cocaine Bear crutch, but you know. So that game,
almost Cocaine Bear crutch is better than Grey Pilgrim crutch.
Well, not when you go up against Tengu with freaking Rock Kami, and Cocaine Bear can't get unengaged from the Rock Kami. I mean, he can walk away, whatever. But Nico couldn't pass a snare test to get up there and kill the Rock Kami, so it was just it was a cluster of bad dice for me.
Gotcha.
Game 2 was against Jung. I learned a lot about certain Jung models that I never knew playing this game. Like I've played a lot of Jung, but this person piloted their list very well, and Cocaine Bear did Cocaine Bear things.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah, same with Aspect of the Bear. Like that's just it. It's a dumb card. Dumb good. Just being able to walk up and be like, "Yeah, I outnumber you." It's like,
yeah, that sucks.
That's more negative than the bear auto proning you, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I would agree on that one, actually. Like, there's ways that if you have an immune prone model or at least jump up, you can kind of deal with the bear, but that, I just count as 2 and there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, all right, so I either have to have an indomitable model, which not a whole lot of those in the game, or some factions don't even have access to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's on Rayo, who hits like a fucking truck.
When you don't have bad dice. So actually, after my first game, my dice were so bad, I went and bought 2 new sets of dice from the vendor hall.
God.
Now, I will say, so to give you an idea, and just, I'm not to interrupt you, but I just want to throw this in here. So when I planned this, we had a generous amount of time. We went from we dropped dice at 9:00 in the morning, and technically I had the tables till 10 or midnight, because who the hell's going to set something up between 10 and midnight? So I could have gone as late as I wanted to, which meant we had 2-hour rounds, which, to be perfectly honest, I fudged a lot. We were more like at 2:10, 2:15.
Oh, damn.
We would flip the tables in between, so had no problem with that. And then we took like an hour and a half lunch. So plenty of time. I think there were very few tables that didn't make it to a complete 6 rounds, or at least to a point where there was conclusion. There wasn't I think there were only a handful of games over all 4 rounds, maybe 5, that went to time. 5 or 6. At least that's what it seemed like to me as I was getting the results in for games.
Yeah, all of mine were pretty quick. I mean, the first one was probably the longest one, and that was even with a war weary, and that was just because of positioning, and both of us were very like analyzing every move, and that was the most intense game out of the 4 that I played. Was my first round opponent.
And he is a very good player. I can say that for sure.
and I knew that was going to be the one of the roughest, just with list and scenario. But yeah, so second round against the Jung, I won 3-0. It was turn
bear beat shark.
Yeah. Turn 4, I think I had lost my unblessed Ashigaru, and she had her horseshoe crab left. So I just did a circle around her poor horseshoe crab and basically just waited because it can't engage. So yeah, it was dumb. But anyway, then third round was against a crit strike list. So going into this list, I was not feeling great, but not feeling terrible until I saw the table I got put on. I got the Gaming Greg special. It was
that the ring scenario? Was that Muzi?
Yeah, it's Muzakashi.
It was Muzakashi, and I got a table with a giant freaking building in the middle of the circle.
Last year you complained that it was a big, difficult terrain piece, so I just said, you know what? I'm just going to put a building in the middle.
Yeah, I would have rather it been a difficult terrain piece. So, long story short on this one, Aya, Rio, and Cocaine Bear went left. Everything else in my list went right. Cool. Cocaine Bear's, hitting some stuff. Well, then he had Ryoka Shah do the I give everybody activations back. First activation, crit strikes the bear. I'm like, son of a bitch. Full health bear, just gone.
Yeah.
And then on Rio.
Did he get like 2 that game?
Yeah, so Rio was
who is the second one?
He wasn't durable yet. He had 3 wound boxes marked. I'd already used Hasty Bear and just a scratch. And I rolled double 1s on defense. Martial prowess my 1 into a 1. So he got 1 shot. 2 shot basically.
Yeah.
And then Aya, who was also on the left side, then got crit struck. So my entire left flank's just gone. At that point, I was kind of like, crap, I made a misplay. I could have ended that game probably 2-1 or 1 might have been able to get the draw. It would have depended. I pulled the unblessed Ashigaru off of the middle objective, and I should have just influenced it and called it a day.
To get it friendly, yes. You get the who has the most friendly objectives.
Yeah, the second I moved the Ashigaru, I was like, yeah, well, I just gave that point up. So that was a bummer. But it is what it is. And then the last game I played against a guy playing a Blessed Edo list, and I was just like, I feel bad for this one because that's kind of
it's just going into Minimoto in general, and that's already just not a
but
good day.
The trick is the bear. If he's banking on poison, with a little bit with poison, depending on if he had Kinu in there or something like that, and Big Bear just don't care.
Nope.
No. Well, and so
with tough 2.
That one was Osatsu, the last round, and that's like my specialty scenario because we play it all the freaking time.
That's true.
The guy I was playing is, I don't want to say he's a new player, but he's fairly new. Like, you could tell he's not as experienced. So I was telling him how to basically play Osatsu. I was like, this is exactly what I do in this scenario. This is what I'm doing. Just so he kind of knew, and
right.
I kind of already knew how it was going to go if I had average dice.
Got it.
I think I lost the Unblessed Ashigaru that round, and that was it. Everything else was like full health. My dice actually heated up, and I was just obliterating everything. Yeah, it was terrible. So I 3-0'd him. But he went and purchased the entire Minimoto line. So
so you made a Minimoto sale. Hooray!
Yeah, I mean, he had bought before that match, but I kind of gave him the, I don't want to say master class, because this list, I tested it. Game 1 was my first game with this list, so but yeah, I was kind of like, this is what Cocaine Bear does, this is what Rio does, and I've played Rio and Nico and stuff, so it wasn't like all the figures were new, but yeah, overall it wasn't bad. 2-2 for something that I'm not that experienced with, and had awful dice. If I played Temple, I would have had a much better day, just for the simple fact of Kata.
Just because Kata exists.
Yeah, because there was times outside of the Tengu game, because I knew my opponent was just going to put dice in defense and never put anything in attack. There's a couple times where I was rolling 3 or 4 dice all in defense playing Minimoto, just because my dice were that bad.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was rough.
Well, it was, you went 2 3-0s, and then a 2-1 and a
2-0, yeah, or 0-2, but
2.
Yeah, I'm not upset.
And what would you say is your overall thoughts with Minimoto as competitive? And then I'll give my 2 cents on it.
Oh, I definitely think Minimoto is competitive, and I don't think that they necessarily need the Gray Pilgrim and like Karu and stuff. I do think they might be a little bit more all-comery with those 2 models in their lists versus something like what I played. But the reason, like with Army and then Blizzard, like all my Ashigaru could hit or get like within millimeters of the middle idols turn 1.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the bear was also at the midline, so it just kind of helped, especially against like Ito, who's fast and stuff like that, kind of balance out. Yeah, I mean, if I had average dice, it would have been great, but crit strike losing the bear hurt.
Oh yeah.
I mean, game 1 he got tied up by the rock Kami. Like I said, he didn't really do much, and it wasn't because I didn't disengage him. It was just my opponent was very good and had everything else hidden, so there really wasn't any other valid target.
And you were playing zone, so you got to stay in a certain spot.
Yeah, I didn't want to move the bear and basically just have him be out in the open for him to go. And Gray Pilgrim shoots him, and Tirobo shoots him, and
Yeah, because your first round opponent, let's see what his list was.
Yeah, Gray Pilgrim,
Order for Battle,
Nunik, 2 rock Kamis, Zenkabo, Oshibe, and the little eagle. And yeah, it was rough, but overall, like, other than the Rock Kami tying him up and then him getting crit struck, like him and Rio just ran the field. And
Okay.
Nico was kind of an objective getter. My previous list had Kaijaya and a Fire Kami, and I think the Fire Kami got nerfed a little too hard.
There was a weird balance though for that. I think personally, after seeing how they've done everything, I think if they left it at if they took it from speed 6 to speed 5, that would have been a little bit better instead of like speed 4.
I agree with that. Speed 4 made it a little rough, but I get it. But at that point, I was like, well, I'm just going to get rid of those two, and I'm going to take Nico because I need combo.
Mm-hmm.
And other than the freaking Rock Kamis that Nico couldn't pass a snare test to get to, I didn't need combo for the day. So
I'm just kind of taking a look at something. So of the three, so there were 3 Minimoto lists. Both of them had the bear. Only one of them had Great Pilgrim. I'm very happy with the spread of things there. So quickly on Minimoto, my thought of it, and this has come up on the boards, and I have to agree with someone who said this. We used to say that Minimoto, the Minimoto, we're always saying, oh, Minimoto is probably an easy one. It's one of those auto win. It's not that it's easy to play. It's very forgiving.
Yes.
That's why I always like it for newer players. That high armor, Minimoto usually has an answer for those things that will drive a new player insane.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of armor, so if I screw up my dice rolls, they still might not really score really high on damage. So, and they have a lot of wounds. So it takes a little more, again, I have that 1 or 2 extra wounds over the 6. So I may survive along with the high armor. Means I'm a little more survivable than normal. And then to maybe resist the key feats, which are going to screw with me, most of them have some kind of resistance. So they're getting a +1 to their rolls. So even if it's a 1 die figure, I'm die +1. So it makes them a little harder to do, a little tougher to do. And the trick is, it also appeals to the new players in that they could come up and just beat the living crap out of something. So one of the things that gets people excited is just actually killing models.
Oh, I had a blast doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, out of the 4 games, the bear only died 1 game, and Rio only died 1 game, and that was solely because of a crit strike. And I rolled Snake Eyes, and he had like 6, 7, 8 or something like that. He's success level 8.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, you can be armor 27, and it's still not going to save you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of looking through things here.
But yeah, I mean, overall, like the bear's not necessarily the funnest thing to play against with fear and the auto prone and whatnot, but it's definitely not unplayable. And the aspect of the bear is harder to play around.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just I know because you had that in our local in the precursor tournament where I was like, fuck, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, I think,
and that's almost more auto included than giving Rayo absolute loyalty, which honestly he can still take both, and it's like, why the hell not? Because it's like you can't control the damn thing anyways. Then
I think aspect of the bear is pretty much auto include, and I think that is more oppressive than the bear.
Yeah. Again, and the other part that we talked about, or has been talked about, with Minimoto, again, it's forgiving, but it can be predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Great Pilgrim throws a little bit of a monkey wrench in that, but not much. And the old Great Pilgrim threw a definite monkey wrench in it because it didn't play like a normal Minimoto list, especially when you're running with Fire Commies and what they used to do.
And Spark of Life before.
But now it's and the Spark of Life. So now it's a little, you could still play it without it, I think. And as a new player, if you're a new player coming into it, I would tend to lean people towards that unless that's not something not a play style they like. And it can be competitive. I mean, it's still a decent thing. It's just when you're getting that higher competitive player level, your opponent knows what you're trying to do.
I mean,
and can try to avoid it or nerf it or whatever, stymie it. So that way it's harder to gain scenarios. I mean, Ryu is a perfect counter for Minimoto, especially if you're playing a heavy crit strike list.
Yeah.
And then you're relying on dice luck to a greater or lesser degree. I mean, there's ways that you can modify your dice luck by being able to throw 3 dice for damage, being able to re-roll a damage die. You could try to influence the odds a little bit, but really, you're just praying for those doubles on the right model. So, and again, it's so there's a lot of different things to it, but
and that against the Ryu guy too, I couldn't penetrate his defense ever. Like every single time he'd roll like 1 die in defense and he was hitting a 6. And I'm sitting there with 4 dice. I'm rolling like 2 and 2 because I'm trying to prevent crit. And
you don't want to get hit. Yeah, again, Ryu, a crit strike heavy Ryu list really makes you very defensive because you're so paranoid that even if he gets a success level 0, you're screwed.
And I think that might have, I don't remember if it was 0. It was like a 0 or a 1 that killed the bear. It was bad.
Yeah, that's that. Success level 0 and I roll double 1s. That's the one that goes, I'm just gonna.
I remember I had that happen to me once.
Jason a couple times.
I've had that happen to me.
Well, I don't feel bad about that though, Cody.
No, I don't either. I think it's great. I'll do it again.
This is why the Bushido community was like, "Oh, so good that Jason actually won a Grand Masters because of all the emotional abuse you guys put me through."
Well, no, it's great because it just means that they don't have to watch Silvermoon battle reports anymore.
Oh,
I can't play my faction after winning, so you can't play Silvermoon anymore.
No, that was just the Grand Masters. You just don't want to deal with Silvermoon. But you kidding me? If Brian got that, I'm pretty sure he'd go buy a bottle of champagne and be like, "Oh fuck, I don't deal with this shit anymore." Woo!
So that's a graceful segue, Cody, into Grandmaster Jason. Now,
are we going with the Grandmaster thing, or am I just like,
we're just gaming Jason's grand victory? How's that?
I mean, you could still say that. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna put the title in front of me. Like I said, I'm much more. I'm much more of like I want the cultiness of my Wasapu church. Damn it!
I see. Okay.
Just let me know when you build it and where it is. I've got
Grand Vizier.
Tannerite.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first time that we have a grand champion, Grand Master of Silvermoon?
Of pure Silvermoon? Yes.
Pure Silvermoon.
Yes.
Not doing order for paddle bullshit.
Yeah, no,
because I don't remember if Carl won playing the Imperial March as Silvermoon.
No, he won. I think the year he won, he played Death and Decay.
Maybe we'd have to take a look, but anyway,
we have to look back into that. But I had asked on the board because someone else thought that was also a thing, and Andy or Jason, I think it was Andy, confirmed that there hasn't been a Grandmaster.
Sweet. So
either way, you're the first pure Silvermoon and non-ordered for battle.
There's that too. That's the more impressive part, if anything.
Yeah.
So it was a meat grinder.
Meat grinder.
I mean, now it is. I will say this is a very impressive record because when you play Silvermoon at home, you're usually getting like the 1-0 or maybe a 2-1 victory, but you had 3-0 victories.
If I get a 3-0, like we basically said, we called it by like turn 3 because something went horribly wrong with like one of your all's dice, and it's just like, yeah.
Well, I get pissed and throw my dice and smash them.
Yeah,
and I can't play anymore because they kicked me out of the store.
Sick and tired of Ryujin getting thrown into Teemo, and that's
okay. That happened one time before you pointed that out to me. That never happened, and then it's like, oh, okay. Just like again, how y'all pointed out to me. Oh, how do Kichi can make my opponent re-roll the dice? Well, guess who has the worst fucking re-rolls? Happens to be you two guys.
Yeah.
What?
So it's all y'all faults, and actually we blame Brian on that one too because Brian's the one that even clarified that, and Brian has good re-rolls.
Yeah, Jason's always like, he's always like, Cody, re-roll that 6. Okay, here we go. Here's a 1. Yep, shocker. Jason's like, I'm gonna re-roll this 6 every time.
How did I get 2 6s? I only re-rolled 1 die. I don't know.
Pretty much. And the dice aren't microwaved because I've tried them. They still roll like crap for me.
I know. It's
Cody's giving me different dice.
Silvermoon is the perfect faction. It is the embodiment of Jason.
Oh, 100%.
apparently.
So, I don't know if you could give us a blow by blow of your
Of my
rounds
day.
here, Jace. Can you, or do you just
So,
want to kind of go through your list here
I
real
mean,
quick?
my list is up there, and I mean, that could be a different thing to, like, talk
Oh,
about the
hey, I
list
should actually do that. Hang on.
itself, but, it was actually a minor adjustment to our precursor event, because I know our precursor event, this was very similar to it, except it was I had Setsuko in there, and this was an Iron Fist. Um, it was a cool idea to basically load Malusi up with as much activations and still bomb him down the field, kind of almost like Hagani does, but it's like a big beefier version of Hagane that's beating stuff up. And I think some people be like, they'd rather deal with Hagani than a flying Buto going into their back lines,
It's
because
true.
the Buto can, I mean, he leaves himself super open, but at the same time too, it's like he can still kind of slog through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess to run through it real quick. So this is
Mhm.
actually the other thing too. I was never a big fan of like taking Oda by himself. I always did it as the double, but I know the people in the Silver Moon boards like, oh, I only ever take Oda this one. I'm like, okay, let's see what the hype's about, and I'll
Let's
do it.
try it. Yeah.
And it worked out actually it worked out really well. It was the antithesis of what I always used Oda and Tantalo for, which I mean, I still love using them as the pair. But it's given me just a good understanding of like, oh shit, okay, so I don't know if I'll favor using Oda more by himself than pairing him up and being super Oda and Tantalo, just because I like them more as a model. But it definitely kind of opened my eyes with that. And I mean, like it's legit, and actually it saved my ass in a couple ways, especially once we get talking like rounds.
Mhm.
Manu, love him, need him. He's arguably the best
So
Buto.
yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with Bodyguard, if I get Vims, which we did, that gives me a reasonable backup protection, or gives me a backup insurance policy to protect Oda, because Oda majority of the time is probably going to be my Vim,
Okay.
unless I use Wasapu,
Yeah.
which after this tournament now, I'm pretty sure no Wasapu player is ever safe, because everybody's like target priority. That fucker's dead.
Oh,
Kill Wasapu.
I
Doesn't matter.
did the same thing in the precursor store tournament. I
I
sent
know,
everything at Wasapu because he
and it
needed to die.
and it worked.
Need to keep them occupied. Don't let them shoot.
Malusi is definitely literally the hammer to this list. And throwing Bile of Rajan's breast. Shout out to Beard. Love you, man. Hope you're doing good. Definitely was more of the inspiration of, oh yeah, I throw a vial of Rajan's breast on the fat man and just let him fly. And
Flying fatties. Yeah.
Malusi is probably the best option for that. I thought about Feet Nyama, he can do okay. I don't have Lua, and Yokozuna doesn't make any sense. I could have, I guess, taken Tantalo separate, but Malusi he gives me access to combo, which is huge. And
Mhm.
then otherwise, he's also one of the few Butos that can give himself Brutal 2, which that by Brutal 2 with Pierce 2. So that with its own right is
That's
just super scary.
that's a huge combination.
I took Cade because I needed my flip factory, because I need to gamble on high key output for the first turn or two.
Mhm.
And then also having Heed My Word work off, that gave me a free move to get up Malusi up. So all of a sudden he's going from effectively charging 12 inches off the baseline, where he's moving 16 inches up the baseline. Also, what I was actually using Heed My Word for a lot was moving Oda's ass up so he didn't get left behind, because Oda's only speed 3. So if he gets
Oh.
left behind, he's kind of really stuck behind there. So if I had the key for it, I would, if I won my flip with Cade, it's like, okay, Oda, your ass is going up too, because typically turn 1 I was ordering the Buto, so they were each getting 3 activations. So that was a free charge, or not free charge, but it was a charge with Malusi most of the time turn 1. And then
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I got another extra activation. So I'm pretty sure if I didn't kill what I was engaging, it's gonna die. Or better yet, I can go move him and go kill something else, because people will still be a little bit clustered turn 1.
Yeah.
Wasapu was the support that this list really needed, and then forced me having to change over to Traveling Show, since I need a range model with lucky number 8.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just the go-to classic. I mean, Wasapu, I know people in this even came up in the Silver Moon board. Super decisive figure. It's not that he's always geared towards killing the high point models every single game, but he is very critical at killing the important models at the right time. That's what I've seen him most for. And then in some cases, he can be used for denial, but it's not necessarily killing the highest point model. It's he just does well at killing a model when you need to kill it. There's been very few
especially when
times
you have
that he
six instead.
hasn't has to do it.
Well, and here's the thing, though, and this is something I've talked about with range damage, and I understand the arguments on range damage. It's because when I shoot something, and I use a Kimi as a machine gun, I load her with key, and I'm shooting every activation possible because I'm doing the quick reload, and I hit, and I will sometimes hit success level 2, success level 3, because I'll get an 8, needing on a 5, on a target number 5. Some success level 3. My problem is I booch those damage rolls. I'm rolling 2. I'm rolling 3 or 4.
I don't boost the damage rolls
Well, you
often.
don't booch the damage rolls, but here's the thing though. Sometimes I'll just booch the success level, so I get a success level 1, a success level 2, or I get a lot of ones because I don't roll that well. With lucky number 8,
Yeah, that helps a lot.
you are hitting those 8s a lot more frequently because you're essentially getting that 8 on 7s and 8s, and your chance, it
definitely
improves
skews
that
the
odds, which
odds.
means you're getting the higher success levels. So even should you booch a damage roll and hit a mid number and do a low number, you're still doing a decent amount. That 3 chart, that 3 damage, the success level 3 damage row is significantly better than a 2 or a 1.
Oh yeah.
And so getting anywhere from a 5 to an 8 is a huge difference.
It really cuts down the range bands, which is why I love lucky number 8, and it's just a natural fit for him. I've tried it on other models in the past, and it's just like it just makes sense to put it on Wasapu.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then I have Koyukan A and B guys to gang up and add some extra to help outnumber, take away dice, take away activations, or go flip idols, or go wait in zones, whatever I need them to do.
Yep.
My events, because this was in traveling show, so I had the free luck token and the free impetuous test. So this year, instead of taking 3 impetuous tokens, I only took 2 impetuous via insider information.
Mhm.
Those are definitely like my saving grace handicaps if I really need to be like, I need this model to go first, especially if I lose a tactical roll.
Or more importantly, not have a model go first.
There, that too. Hotai's Blessing, that's always a great card just to have. The big saving grace for me, and very surprisingly, probably the least used card in the whole tournament on my route to going to the finals and winning, Shrewd Negotiation. Taking it for basically 2 rice, but I can effectively cancel 3 rice cards out with it once you do the math with it. There are so many good 3-card rice in the game, and as we were talking in the group before the tournament, and with all the shenanigans with Darmanic Path coming out, um, War Weary is a very common thing with a lot of
Swordsmanship,
lists. Swordsmanship,
Blizzard. Yeah, there's a lot of different
Cancel
cards.
Blizzard.
the Fog of Uri. There's a lot of stuff where it's like, if I can basically limit the amount that you're going to get that advantage for, because a lot of those lists
Well,
depend on those things, short of Darmanic Path, but it definitely helps reduce my Silver Moon stuff.
well, even is just a scratch an event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it also
So
means
it could screw with that too. So I mean,
Easy there.
it's very you got a lot of variability.
Yeah,
in
it's
what
got a
you
lot of
use, so.
variability with it, especially for how high that it's worth. 3 rice again. I'm canceling out some of the best cards in the game, and
Mhm.
those cards are critical for certain things to work. So it was definitely worth carving out the points to make sure that I had that. And I mean, again, in my list as I go over kind of how my day went, it only got actually used once because of just the list I played against. But the fact that it's like, I didn't feel bad that I didn't have to necessarily use it, because it's like I'd rather have it than be like, oh fuck, I there's no way, because then it's going to be a whole other dimension of the game where it's like I have no answer to this, and I'm just
Yeah.
going to basically be giving up free points.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it could also kill off pacifism too, because I think
No,
is pacifism. Oh, it's an enhancement.
It's enhancement, so it can't
Okay,
kill
so
off
never mind.
pacifism, but it's still it can kill off all these
The
other
other
cards
stuff that lets you score for
that
free.
that they've designed to let you score for free effectively.
Okay. So what I found interesting is, looking at the different people that you played and the different lists, there were some tough ones there.
Oh yeah,
Your first round though was a cocaine bear.
oh yeah, it was Cocaine Bear. It was against our friend from Australia, Damien. So that was already just great just to get to meet him and play against him. Um, so that one actually probably came down to one me being smart moment. So it was Malusi getting ready to basically, he's gonna go fly down the field and go charge someone. And it was talking the big game of, oh, I could take on Cocaine Bear exhausted and probably kill him. But instead, I went after Rayo because we were playing a zone. So it's like I really want to go after Cocaine Bear because it's just kind of like that adrenaline, like testosterone. Like, oh, big man beats on bear. But instead, I did the smarter thing and I went after Rayo. And with Rayo being exhausted, and I charged right into him and then crushing blow and everything like that. And I also gave myself combo 0 with my virtue token. He went down pretty quick. Um, Also, I had totally inadvertently forgot because he's playing Finest Steel. I had somehow done a point to Cocaine Bear. I think I shot him with Wasapu and he strafed. So the first hit, I actually would have really cranked him hard. I think I would have done like 4 points of damage after including the tough two. But he's like, "Oh, I only take one." I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I get the part for Finest Steel. I didn't want to have to use it now, but I have to use it." I was like, "Oh fuck." And then the second I shot,
you still waspooed the shit out of him.
I didn't know the
You
Cocaine
took him down
Bear.
to like 2. You took him down like 2 wounds, and then had
No,
Melusi go in and
okay,
finish
well,
him
after
off.
the second shot that Wasapu did, I think I did like 3 points of damage to him or 2 points
Exactly.
after everything.
Whenever I
And
play
then
Minimoto against Wasapu, I'm just scratched on freaking success level 0 because I know Jason's rolling boxcars.
the surprising thing is there was no Justice Scratch in there, so that was a saving grace. But otherwise, if he had one, I would have forced both of them at that moment because I would have canceled one out.
Yeah.
One way or the other. But once I took Rayo out, then all of a sudden things started to kind of go down from there. And then Malusi went into a wounded Cocaine Bear. He did pretty good job on him. And then it just kind of worked from there until I got the points.
Okay.
Round 2 is probably the whole day. I mean, each round was difficult. Round 2 is the hardest, and of course, it was against Brian. Which
So Brian's in our local meta.
in our local meta. So basically, me and Brian had a steamy, hot, passionate day of fucking each other, and I just happened to be on the winning side of that fucking. That's what it was, basically. I'm not gonna lie, because even he looked at me, he's like, "We realize we're just gonna fuck each other over, right?" I was like, "Yeah, but best luck to each other, and we'll just see what happens."
There you go.
I'm just glad that I was terrible and didn't have to play either of you.
I mean, the thing is that I did at least have a little bit of an upper hand with it because the Buto's Masters just in general, that's like I don't know what kind of power trip
you got to look at it because
before that.
Silver Moon 1, 2 Temple Masters, 3 Temple Masters.
Oh, I know. But I mean, again, that game was so close. That game was so close that it could have easily gone 1-0 the other way, or it could have easily it could have easily gone a 1-1. The only thing helping me was that okay, 3 major things happened to me. 1, Butos.
Why don't we say 4?
Yeah.
No, it's Buto. Okay, so
Saki.
Butos. No, yeah, that too. No, the Butos being able to be immune to being just prone, that's a huge thing because that takes away a lot of the shenanigans of like, I'm just gonna knock everybody down, which is
That is
just
true.
annoying in Bushido in general. I mean, the other big thing, because the other 2 big things were basically Wasapu just having the unexpected, I'm gonna strafe into you, and then I one-shotted 2 models in 2 different occasions. So one of them was Yakuza.
He seems like he's shocked that he did this. That's what's cute.
Well, okay, so the first shot that went into was Yakuza was holding Malusi and he was about to get beat to death by Poe. So I was like, I have to do this. So I was like, even if I hit Malusi, it's like it's worth a shot because otherwise Poe's gonna take me down because he would have been at 1 die and he just would have been like unblockable strike and take me out. So I was like, all right, I got to shoot Yakuza because I need to try to take him out. So I got 2 shots. So I strafed, took the first shot, got maxed out on my success level, and then rolled damage. And I was like, oh, well, I rolled an 11, which is 12 because he's +1. I was like, oh, that's 5 points. Like, you just killed Yakuza. And that all of a sudden, like, rips this. Well, just the one shot's already demoralizing right there. When Yakuza goes down in Masters, it's literally ripping the spine out of that list because all of a sudden they can't do the believer stuff, and it's like, oh, I have to spend my key now like a normal monk, and it doesn't fall apart, but it's really difficult.
And doesn't Yakuza allow them to do something with virtue tokens too?
I think he does, but the bigger thing is that he gets believer, which
I get the believer thing is huge for the key, but I know
he's got the thing. I think he's got the void ability where you get 2 key tokens.
Something like that.
That's so yeah. So if you're using virtue tokens, then you're doing the void to give yourself more key.
In this particular list, there wasn't a whole lot besides Paragon to get the extra virtue token out, so they weren't like generating. But if he's playing with a little girl, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but then you're
Yeah.
kind of just
Oh, I
double
get
dipping.
confused
Yeah.
with Brian's list. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean that was definitely a big turning moment there because otherwise I would have lost my Lucy, and without that, it's like it it helped me being able to shore up some things.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is that I needed to get to one of the other idols because I'd lost my other one and it got flipped over. And there was just a down Master Enos, and I was like, all right, I got to take 2 shots at him and hope that I do well. And of course, I think I got success level 2 on my shot, and I rolled a high damage roll in 1 shot at him because he only has 5 wounds. And then
So basically, you took out the Edo model. So it was like killing me.
pretty much.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, I would have shot Poe to death, but Brian learned either from talking to Mark or just me or just logic that it's like I need to put Arashi's fan on Poe because Poe is
think
my
everybody
favorite
does.
target to shoot with the Wasapu.
You also playing the Masters have like
Yeah.
15 rice to just blow on random equipment. So
That's one of the things though that it's really good. But I mean, that's basically kind of it was just a really, really close match. And I mean, like the game showed it right there is where it had gotten to. I mean, the biggest thing is that because Wasapu was getting thrown around all game too, but it wasn't even Brian at the end. He's like, I should have not messed with Wasapu probably as much and should have just killed him. And if he'd done that, then I would have had a big issue. But it was just Wasapu was able to stand up at the right time and then does Wasapu things.
As it obliterated 2 major models, yeah, I think he should have killed Wasapu like.
Well, that's in retrospect. Again, if you will keep
Never
Wasapu
doubt
on
it.
his ass,
Kill his ass.
yeah,
Kill
I
his
don't even
ass
care.
now.
I'll send a 50 rice model at Wasapu to kill the freaking thing and suicide them out. I don't care. Wasapu needs to die. At least in Jason's hands.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know about other people, but
It's the Kara Sloan effect.
apparently. So I mean that's how round 2 went, and that was a really close, really tough match. Like we would regularly play, and it just happened to be I came out on the other side winning on that one.
Yeah. Well, that again, in many
And I mean,
ways,
it
we kind
shocked
of
the boards
took
too.
it.
I think to an extent because
You were well. The Budos are well suited on dealing with it, but you figured the Temple guys would still get a little bit of the upper hand. It's the wild card was Wasapu. A Wasapu came up big, big.
he came up big, and Fortune came up big for me too when I needed it.
There you go.
Also,
All right.
Oda actually did come up big because I timed it right because Yakuza being able to believe for himself, he can do his stupid contemplation of existence turn 1. And so him just making Malusi just like, I'm not gonna do anything
Oh yeah.
because I timed it right when he was gonna get like stupid.
Mhm.
So he lost his key check, lost all his stuff. Oda ordered afterwards and gave him an activation back, so then that way he could at least get up the field. So he didn't turn 1 charge Yakuza, but he got close enough then for the following turn where it's like, okay, I can
When
use
you win
Wild Rising
initiative,
Press and
then.
I'll still jump over the line and I'll get to Yakuza to try to kill him.
Okay.
So there was a combo there too, because if I didn't have Oda to at least like sacrifice in a sense to give him the extra activation, that's like he ain't getting upfield, and then I'm at a bit of an issue.
Yeah, and if he wastes time, if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't do contemplation of existence right out of the gate, then as soon as you activate, then you're on top of him.
Which
So
I mean,
he has to do it early, but he can
had
only do it
finesse
once.
on Yakuza, so I couldn't get through
Brutal.
with him. Malusi wasn't going to be able to easily get through with him and be like, I'm going to overpower you with brutal.
Just combo the shit out of him.
I mean, that's what I basically did, but it's
Shot
still.
I
tried to
you
melee
basically
him.
shot him.
I tried to melee him first, and then when he's getting ganged up on, then I shot him.
Yeah, because Wasapu can't hit the broadside of a barn unless he's
engaged.
Shooting into an engagement, and then for some reason Jason's dice just go stupid.
Okay, that's just
It
like
goes right
that's
through
normal.
somebody's eye.
That's just
into the
normal,
brain case.
like engaging
Yeah,
range.
I hate even just trying to figure out how to shoot into engagement. And Jason's just like, wow, this is easy. I'm gonna shoot shit out of everything.
Well, that's because Brian does it to me all the time, so I figured it out. But that's the only reason why I'm so versed in how it works. Where it's like I'm just gonna shoot into combat.
I hate it. I just don't. I refuse to take range because it doesn't work for me.
Well, that is an option. It is an option. So that was round 2. Round 2, I had a feeling was going to be a rough game just because the two of you beat the crap out of each other all the time.
Pretty much.
Round 3, how did you handle the dissension?
I
That's
actually
a 3-0.
did really well. The big I don't want to say the big deciding. Okay, well, there was a big deciding factor actually. Malusi got up the field and he had the hill tribesman that had a snare, She was a little too far up front, and then Malusi just charged her with Vile. And because of how Vile works, because she has Cloud Walk, she can't snare him down.
Yep.
So he got into melee with her where she was exhausted, and it's like she had reach, which was fine, but I just broke her and beat her up. And then I had an extra activation, so then I ended up walking him around. He got into Grey Pilgrim the next turn because I won tactical roll, and then I beat up Grey Pilgrim, got rid of the pacifism on it, and then he's like, "Oh, electrify," and moved him away from her, which was fine. And so then it was just like Malusi's in the back line, like just doing stuff, and it's like, "Oh crap, what am I supposed? What do you kind of do with that at that point?" He sent the Rock Kami after me. I fight the Rock Kami. I do a point of damage to it, but I couldn't combo it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to shoot into combat to try to hit the Rock Kami or try to hit Malusi and rolled. So hit the damage roll. He maxed out. He was like on like the 4 or 5 because of how it was. Because I think he had me on surprised and all these other things. So target number was like 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he had me on like the 4 or 5 for damage roll. Rolls the target number test to make sure that he hits Malusi. Hit the Rock Kami. And then blew up the Rock Kami because the Rock Kami had been wounded. And so then all of a sudden Malusi's free to like go and do stuff. And then it just kind of went to one thing after another. The only thing that I kind of will say I did well on myself was he had Oishi, Oshibi and the backline. And she was just kind of hanging out the whole game. She had preyed on an idol. And I was like, why isn't she doing a whole lot? Because she could, I know she's not the greatest fighter, but she can still help out. So I guessed that was maybe his Vim. And I decided like, screw it, I'm going to try to engage her. Well, then that forced him to use her Kifi to bolt out of there. And so she bolted into another nunchuck dude who was over at like a midline idol. And then Waspoo did Waspoo things, killed Torobo, who was engaging him at the time, and shot into combat, killed it. Or killed Torobo, I think it was Torobo, because I forced Torobo onto that side of the field at that time. And then Nunchuck dude just cracked open Oshibi's head with a really, really good hit because she was exhausted at that point. And at that point, it's like I'd killed the Vim. Grey Pilgrim had actually taken a good amount of, or no, Grey Pilgrim hadn't taken any wounds. He took Drunken Master with me. I really messed up the Drunken Master. And he had like a wound left or anything, like I believe. And then I think there was one Rock Kami that was still kind of wandering around. So at that point, I mean, Maurice was just like,
You hammered it out.
Yeah, there's nothing that I can really do about this.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where it ended 3-0 like that. So some dice rolls that the big thing was not having Malusi get hit and then the Rock Kami getting hit, and then just me getting fortunate, or me being observant about a model that it's like, oh wait, I know she can do some stuff. So if she's still hanging out back here, I'm guessing that this is like going to be a late run, like go for it kind of moment.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she can basically go like the entire board in one turn.
Yeah, she can because of dash and everything. Yeah. Or not dash or sprint or whatever it is.
Yeah, her key feet.
Yeah. And then last round against Anthony, that was ninjas, which I was worried about because Brian plays ninjas, and I was like, oh fuck. And he was also using he had Biku and the lion.
Oh yeah, Neko.
Yeah.
So
Neko, whatever.
Yeah. So the big thing was his target priority. Was able to take out Biku with Malusi, to which then Malusi got mauled to death by Nico without like a second thought. That was the only time I actually used your negotiations on one of his smoke bombs, because he had did that real quick. I was like, oh wait, how's that working? I was like, oh, smoke bombs. Like, well, because just how it would have ordered when you use the smoke bomb, I would have assured negotiation. So either it's not there or you got to use a second one. So forced out a second smoke bomb at least out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that got Malusi killed, and I was like, oh crap, that's not good. And Wasapu actually failed a lot of his fortune roll, so he didn't have a lot of key. So he had no key actually. But then Wasapu, the fortunate thing was that there wasn't any other model that could throw the smoke bomb down in front of Nico. So when it got into round 2, I won initiative and I shot it twice, and I shot it over 2 activations and killed it. Because it's medium base at least. And then Manu did Manu things with Katsumi and between him and Ghost. And then it just kind of worked its way out through Osatsu, where I was able to get the control that I needed to do, and where I had actually taken down pretty much all the ninjas except for Wamu, and then I just had to wait till the last turn before I just took Wamu out. And that was pretty much each of the games.
Okay. Well, like I said, it was a long day, and then on the top in the top table again at the Masters, all the other Master list went 4-0. It's just his strength of schedule. You both had the same amount of victory points. Strength of schedule is what kind of determined that one. It was a grinder, but again, so Silver Moon could pull it out
when the stars align.
When the stars align, again, is there some some portion of luck? Yes, but I will say in some cases, Silver Moon do create their own luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's
so that helps.
kind of
Whether it's Harakuchi forcing everybody to re-roll anything in existence, to Cade moving people around, to
just the Budo throwing people, and
we're just the Budo throwing people. The throwing is throwing is a really rough mechanic.
Yeah,
and being able to throw someone and yet also being immune to prone yourself with your two biggest hitters.
Well, and one of them's immovable. So.
And one of them's immovable, so that's even better.
Yeah.
And it can throw on attack and defense.
Yeah, there's no winning against that.
Oh, you're guessing. You're praying to God you guess right and still have the dice to prevent it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you pretty much always, in that situation, you almost always have to just go defense and
hope that I don't.
Because even if you just do throw defense, like it's probably going to go off, and it's just unfortunate. There, with a model that has both throw attack and throw defense, your best bet's just going defensive, and even if your opponent goes throw defense, you're just screwed. You just know it's going to happen. So
yeah. So yeah, I mean
that's it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm just glad that I could prove that the Silver Moon could do it, because to me, playing Silver Moon, it's like there's a lot of like 2-0 wins, or it's like you can do well. I did well last year and took second. I know, well, in the UK it was more of a Ronin list, but I mean it's still ran as Silver Moon. But I don't see a whole lot of like pure Silver Moon besides like the people that like, oh, I'm just gonna run all Buto and Yokozuna's Revenge and some of those things. And I mean, even me saying, where even like in our local group, I'm like, the Silver Moon can win. They can't win consistently, and they don't, and it's sometimes a struggle to win big consistently. Is the biggest thing.
Silver Moon's the matchup you don't want to see across the table from
Silver Moon's the day is the model, is the matchup you don't want to see if you don't want to ruin someone's day. Is how I kind of see it.
If you're needing a max score out of a game, you don't want to be matched up against Silver Moon.
Because something will happen.
Mine was Tengu and Zone scenario. Other than Osatsu. If that was Osatsu, whatever. But
yeah.
Then Silver Moon.
Didn't play Silver Moon.
No. I was actually hoping to go up against the Masters list with my list. Because
very interesting.
I had it all planned out in my head, which is probably why I did terrible, because I had all these things planned out in different scenarios and stuff and didn't get to accomplish any of them. But especially like whatever turn the Masters go tireless, depending on the situation, I was just gonna like disengage, don't engage them. Like obviously it depends on scenario and stuff, but I feel like that's how you deal with that. I mean, Akari's still going to get 100 activations, so yeah,
there's
but
that.
There's ways around it.
Yeah. My biggest thing for the Masters is if you can kill Yakuza, and that's still asking a lot. The Masters go from S tier to like near unstoppable to like
they're much more manageable when you don't have a Yakuza is the model that is the ultimate single model control.
They're still kind of like really unmanageable, but it turns into like, why bother to, I kind of have a shot at this, and then it just kind of goes from there on what you're going to do and what your options are.
Yeah.
Right. I just think it's funny that Brian has to make a card for Temple now.
I still got to make my Silver Moon card.
Everybody's got some cards to make. Well, gentlemen, we have
to be a Temple card. It's just a card, so he can make a ninja card. He can make whatever kind of card he wants.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Actually, he'll just make a card that's flipping me off and be like, "This is what I think of you, Jason."
That's what he did. That's what he did say. It was just something that's going to be anti-Wasapu.
Yeah, probably.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
Broken string range weapons don't work.
There you go. Okay. Well, that has been our Adepticon wrap up with a in-depth analysis of what we did at Adepticon,
Yeah.
what we bought at Adepticon, what it's like to be at Adepticon, and then what actually happened at the Bushido's Masters. We hope you enjoyed that. It is long. We may divide this up, so when you're watching it, you might be watching this as episode 3 instead of one long ass episode. Who knows? But we would like to say thank you so much for listening and watching. We really do appreciate it. We hoped you enjoyed it. We hope you got a lot of painting done during it. And if you did, click that like button. We always appreciate that. Lets us know we're doing the right thing. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. We always like having more subscribers. And what does that get you? At this point, absolutely nothing. But who knows what it'll get you in the future.
No,
one thing before we every 6 months.
Yeah, something like that. Actually, one thing, gentlemen, I believe I'm looking at the Spotify thing right now. Oh yeah, it's been we started this podcast about 1 year ago.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
So, good job.
Good job. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate you, and have a great day or evening wherever you may be. So long, everybody.